Oh, I'm live. Well, welcome back to the Gratu Orloff television show. Um, well. I'm. I was doing a broadcast with my phone, so you might be able to watch it later. See, I was doing a show on my phone, and I was teaching the people here, which are you in the future, how to start a StreamYard broadcast. I wanted to show them here. Do you see there at the top of the screen? It says 0 people are watching. We're 47 seconds into the show. So at some point, someone will start watching. And then that's when the fun will begin. Well, welcome back once again to the Gratu Orloff television program. As darkness falls on Gratuville, as darkness falls upon America under the reign of George Biden III, we here in Mount Gratu, Michigan, we persevere, we prevail, and this is an important broadcast today. I promised a live broadcast tonight, but then the person that asked me to do the live broadcast said I can't do it tonight, but I'd already promised it this morning, so I'll do it anyway. And if no one shows up, well, then I will zip off. Most of you are probably very busy doing your 4th of July, shooting off of fireworks and rockets, and most of you are probably cooking your hot dogs and all of that stuff. But I wanted to share with you this, and I'll talk to you as well. I wanted to share this amazing bounty I received, this blessing. Sometimes we here in the comic book community receive these wonderful blessings just out of nowhere. Just for doing such a wonderful show, God has blessed me once again. I saw 2 black cats walking down the street. They weren't just walking, they were really kind of sauntering along like little proud racehorses. They had a spring to their step. Then I saw them go to the curb at the corner where there was a little entrance where the water goes down into the sewer, and one of them looked down there, and the other one kind of looked around to make sure no one was watching. They didn't want the other stray cats around the neighborhood to know where they were going, so they headed down into the sewer. And I thought, I wonder what's down there, man. Is there a subterranean cavern down there? I know that Seattle once had a fire, and they built the new city over the ruins of the old city. So if you go down there's a bar in Seattle. You go down in the basement of the bar, and you can see the ruins of old Seattle, because they built it on top of like one story of I guess to give it some elevation. You can go on a tour if you go there. There was a Kolchak the Night Stalker episode or a movie or something about that, but it doesn't look like it did in the Kolchak episode. But anyway, I thought maybe there's ruins of an ancient civilization down in that sewer. So I went down in the sewer. See, now I'll show you guys here. I'm teaching the people on the Gratu Orloff show about StreamYard. So I want you guys to see there, the top, there's a 1. That means I have 1 viewer. 1 brave lone viewer who's come along for the ride. 1 viewer who's not afraid to stick it to the man and watch the Gratu Orloff show. Anyway, so I decided I would go down into the sewer system of Mount Gratu, Iowa. And I crawled down there. I saw the cats. They were kind of surprised to see a human being down there. And anyway, I found floating in about 2-3 inches of human excrement waste, the shit, caca, as Resident Biden calls it. Anyway, it was a plastic bin, an opaque plastic bin that said Big Lots on it. It was purchased at Big Lots. And it was sealed with masking tape. I took it, I got it out of the sewer, I hosed it off, opened it up, and to my surprise, stacks and stacks of vintage comic books. and I have not looked at these comics yet. I'm guessing it's about $60,000 worth of vintage comic books that were in this plastic tub. That would be my guess, 60,000. Um, but I have not looked at any of the titles yet. So I'm going to be taking these books. Well, I already took them out, but I blindfolded myself and I bagged and boarded them while blindfolded because I didn't want to see what the books were. And so Gotham City Comics is. See, I want you to see how this is done. See, Gotham City Comics has commented there. And so I click on it and then it appears on the screen. Then I click on this now and it disappears from the screen. So Gotham City Comics is apparently one of the viewers of our telecast this evening. If someone would, yes, tell your friends and family that the Gratu Orloff show is on live. I don't think this is going to be a very popular broadcast because we've got 2 viewers. Holidays are weird, man. But we love you this much here on the Gratu Orloff channel. Anyway, comics found in the sewer. Tremendous. So anyway, I bagged and boarded them without looking at the comics, so I will be seeing them for the first time with you. And I'm guessing it's about $60,000 of comics because that's about how much it weighs. So, with no further ado, or in this case, with no further do. Hold on a second. It's me in here. I'm back. How about that? Let's see. We got 3 people watching. Astounding. Tylox the Mighty is watching. Hey, Gratu. Hello, Tylox. Never eat at this restaurant. Taco Casa. Pretty shitty food. They don't have it here. I have to drive 10 hours to go to a Taco Casa. Maybe not quite that much. Maybe they're in Oklahoma. But anyway, it's I saved the cup because it's a wonder of graphic art design, and because I don't throw anything away here. All right, we're going to be looking at 60,000, approximately 60,000. Could be more, could be a little less. $60,000 worth of key issues found in the local sewer system in a plastic tub. All right, so with no further ado, this is the first one. Yeah, we'll try not to look. What will it be? What is it? Cool. It's a Marvel family, number 85. And it appears that the monkey is throwing shit at the face, look right into the face of Mary Marvel. It missed. Apparently, in this new Elvis movie, they make a big deal about Elvis basing himself on Captain Marvel Jr. That Elvis was a big fan of Captain Marvel Jr. as a kid. They show him as a kid reading Captain Marvel Jr. apparently in the new feature film. That monkey there even has kind of an Elvis haircut. How about that? Maybe this is the very comic that inspired Elvis Presley to become the superstar that he is today. We've already lost a viewer. Fuck you, man. Come here and you leave? What kind of scum are you? First class. Number 2. We've got 2 people watching. 2 as in number 2. All right. The rest of the books are in these 2. I put these 2 short boxes, but I have not looked at them yet. Let's see what we got. Oh, cool. It's House of Mystery. A 10-cent issue, number 88. How about that? Look, that strange alien is retreating. Yes, from the only person he fears, the mysterious man with a bandaged face. Yeah, that looks like I saw a guy like that the other day on YouTube that had dyed his skin that color. And these trendy people like to put these, what do they call them, gauges? They open up their the bottom of their earlobe. See how he's got that? That's what these liberals do. Yes, indeed. He's terrified of the Invisible Man. All right. So we've seen 2 books. So both of those books are worth hundreds of dollars. So we're well on our way to the $60 million that. Another House of Mystery. So, it's a Martian Manhunter cover. How about that one? Perfect for Pride Month, but it's no longer Pride Month. But it has an 8 on it, so that 8 is a symbol for infinity, ladies and gentlemen. Tylux the Mighty says LOL, ladies and gentlemen. LOL means laugh out loud. For those of you watching in the future for those of you that don't know, all 2 of you, I'm also filming an episode on my phone. So later you'll be able to watch me. You could turn on your television with a YouTube app, right, with Roku, and you could also get your phone, and you could see me in stereo because you'll see 2 different angles of me. Put on your 3D glasses, ladies and gentlemen. It's another House of Mystery. Now, this is when House of Mystery was a superhero comic before it became the domain of Kane, the caretaker of the House of Mystery. Another Martian Manhunter issue. Look, it's now we're at issue 159, Dial H for Hero, appearing in House of Mystery. Mighty Moppet. You got the Human Starfish. You got Hypno Man. 3 startling new superheroes in each razzle-dazzle role Bobby dials into is desperately needed to tackle the fantastic Clay Creep Clan. Okay, 3 people watching. Yeah, this is probably the wrong fucking day to do a live stream. That's all right. It's all right. Pull out some stack. Okay, so these are all in order. So the comics were left in the sewer system in order. Yes, this is all kind of wonderful. Yes, another issue of House of Mystery. Dial H for Hero. 3 people watching. A wonderful purple cover. Um, it was a well known fact at DC that purple covers sold better, and covers with gorillas and dinosaurs also sold well. This one is Dial H for Heroin. Dial F. Dial P for fentanyl. Yeah, Dial H for heroin. Dial C for crack. Yes, it should be Hunter Biden's. That should be Hunter Biden instead of Robbie Reed. Dial P for prostitute. Dial C for commie bribe. Kind of disturbing, isn't it? An American astronaut, the most exciting hobby kit on Earth. It's the absolute most exciting. Got 5 human beings watching. How about that? Here is this brave hero fighting against the latest whatever Dr. Fauci is about to release on us. And he's probably in a lab in Wuhan or the Ukraine. And I think Putin took all those out, which is apparently the real reason he's in Ukraine. But they won't let you know that. But he's getting rid of these monsters that are being created right on his border. Well, look at this. Good or evil? That looks just like me. Look at that. I can't do that sideways smile that Biden can do. There's a photograph of Joe Biden and Hunter Biden together, and they're both doing the sideways smile. You know, like I'm half good, half satanic. How you do it? Yeah, yeah. I'm Joe Biden, man. Oh, here's where we get into the House of Mystery horror years. This one seems to have a little bit of moisture damage from being in the sewer at the top, a little bit of rippling. How about that? That would be the great Neil Adams, ladies and gentlemen, doing this cover. He's got a dog looking for these. Oh, they're looking for the fox, and the kids are protecting the fox. I never even noticed that before. The hell? That appears to be on the back of this House of Mystery. I don't think that's damage that some kid did. I think that's a printing error. It does not look like water damage, or it just looks like that's the way it was made. How about that? It seemed like this whole sewer box is House of Mystery. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Tom Keenan says, "Happy 4th, everyone." Yes, indeed. Speaking of the 4th of July, yeah, this kind of looks like it has a little bit of moisture damage from being in the sewer. I don't know how many decades these comics were floating in the sewer, but I don't know. Excedrin Headache number 98. Revolting Revelation. What an interesting book title. Revolting Revelations. Here's a Rosemary's Baby looking cover 202 of the House of Mystery. It's the birth of Frankenberry. It has strawberries in it. It's much better than Count Chocula. The birth of Frankenberry in the satanic evil ceremony. Oh, Apollo's here. I'm sure they celebrate the 4th of July in Portugal. Do they not? It would seem logical. So it's probably about 10. What, about 10 in the evening for you, Paulo? A lot earlier than it would be on the Graphic Man television program. Here's it's the House of Secrets now, number 87. There's Abel. He's the one that gets killed by his brother in the Bible. This is very true to the Bible. Cain and Abel. These stories. Look at this, man. At some point, this comic was sold for $2.50. Can you imagine? To me, the Silver Age ends for DC when they go up to 52 pages for 25 cents. When they go back down and start charging 20 cents, that to me is when the Silver Age ends for DC. And for Marvel, I consider the end of the Silver Age when they stopped having the corner box and went to having the band across the top that says Marvel Comics Group. That's just my personal preference. That's nothing. That's not. That's just how I do things. Here in Grotuville. 20 past 11 p.m. That's what I figured. Captain Strangelife is here. Good evening and happy 4th. Hey there. Here is this one got some damage in the sewer system, or maybe it was damaged before it was put in the sewer. It's the Incredible Hulk 105. That's what I was calling over here, the corner box. It apparently has a little bit of damage. The Hulk doesn't have the same number of toes as a human being. They should show that in these terrible, or well, some of them are terrible. They're terrible now. They used to be pretty damn good. The Marvel movies, when he turns into the Hulk, they should show how one of his toes just kind of disappears, goes back into his foot, and you should hear the bone breaking and all that. That would be good. What is someone saying here? I started reading comics when they were 25 cents. That would be, well, if it was this 25 cents, then that's about 1970. But when all comics went to 25 cents, that would be about 1975, maybe late 74. Probably. Let's see. Tom Keenan says, I'm Schmay. It's like a little bit of a. I was going to drink a beer here in a minute. Let's see here, just a moment. It's just I'm Schmay collecting. I should say collecting. That's the fucking keyboard messing up. I should say collecting. I started collecting at 25 cents. I read some Harveys and Archies while waiting in doctors' offices. Or a DRS office. I don't know what a DRS. I'm sure he means doctor's office. Yep, indeed. I'm being a smart aleck. Okay. I should say, my good man, the Incredible Hulk 117 50 years in the sewer, ladies and gentlemen, or I don't know how many decades it was in the sewer, but it is in the sewer no longer. 60,000 were found in the sewer system. Here's the Incredible Hulk 120. Kill him! Kill the Hulk! What does that say? I should say. Yeah, let me turn this music down a little bit. If anyone would like to come on, the link, let's give you the link again. If anyone's welcome to come on in. I don't know how long I'm going to be on. Probably not long if people don't pop on. Here's the Incredible Hulk 121. Herb Trimpe art. Within the swamp, there stirs the glob. Yeah. That's what it looked like in the sewer, man. That's that the plastic bin was floating in something that looked a lot like that. And I have another copy. What? I've got another copy. Incredible. 3 copies, ladies and gentlemen, of the Incredible Hulk versus the Glob. Oh, and look, I have 2 copies of The Demon and the Dictator. You may have beaten other foes, Hulk, but you've met your match in Klaus Schwab. He looks like Lex Luthor. How about that? Very phallic looking. He does not look too happy. Should we count his toes? Or was he consistently 4-toed? All I want for Christmas is my 2 front tits. Why it's oh, this is a key issue because it has Kang on it, and Kang was in Loki, the TV show. Oh my gosh. For Kang to conquer, the Hulk must diet. I've been trying to diet, but in the fury of the time storm. And don't miss the most unexpected guest star of the year. How about that? I got 2 copies. Hulk being weighed down by the year 1971. Imagine if the year 2022 or 2021 or 2020 was on top of the Hulk. I'm hearing a sound of something approaching. Could it be Drew the dog? Yes, Drew the dog has entered the room. What's up, Drew the dog? Perhaps you guys can see Drew the dog. No, you can't. For the people watching on the other stream on my phone can see Drew the dog. Drew, what's up, man? I'm afraid she has an ear infection or something. She's starting to flip her ears back and forth, and that means that when she did that before, it meant that we needed to get her some ear drops. I did that back in the old country before the move. Here's 137. Let's count his toes, man. He's got 5 toes now. Look at that. Count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Tom Keenan says, love Kang. He was one of my favorite Avengers villain. Yes, Kang is cool. I'm just making fun of the Marvel Studios and people that speculate on these books. 139. How many foes has the Hulk? I love the color palette on this cover. It has a fold, but it presents well. No, it don't. Here's Hulk 143. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He has 5 toes. Now this one is in such perfect condition. I was thinking I'd send it off to CGC. A little bit of damage up there, but usually that's considered. They don't take off much for something like that at CGC. This would probably still be about a 9.8. It's the Incredible Hulk Special #2. Twice as many pages, twice as many thrills. It has the origin of old Greenskin. Look at that guy, man. He's been heavily fucked up by the Hulk. What did the Hulk do to that fucking guy, man? He does not look too good. Like, look at these. You ever look at these? It's cool to look at these people in detail. They are not happy. Yes. Got 10 human beings watching. We're at 31 minutes and 33 seconds, ladies and gentlemen. So, yeah, this is how it's working. See how the comments are over here on the side. Yeah, I'm teaching the people on the Gratu Orlov show, this show that I'll upload later, how the comments look. Oh, a new comment. Oh, let's see. It's Captain Strangelife. He says, and so I click on it. It appears here. I love the smell of old comics, especially when released from their thermally sealed hindquarters. Okay. What are you up to, Drew? Uh-oh. What are you chewing on? Shit. God damn it. Oh, she's chewing on a piece of an old jet model kit. I would assume that Drew is hungry. So, shit, what are you doing, Drew? Stop chewing on this fucking crap. That's gonna be bad for you. There's a model. Shit. She's fucking hungry. I gotta go feed her, man. Drew, no. I gotta go feed her. Shit. Stay there. You can't beat that smell. Happy 4th, Hans. Okay, I'm gonna go feed the dog. Drew, I'm gonna go feed you so you stop trying to eat all this plastic shit. It's bad for you and bad for the environment. You're gonna stimulate global warming, and all you're doing is helping out Putin with all this. Well, I try feeding the dog, and the dog does not want to eat. She just wants to bug the shit out of me. Let's see. Um, let's see. People have been saying while I've been gone. Love that smell as well. Must be the dog. Tom Keenan says the best part of reading comics is the smell. I don't understand why people think digital is the way to go. Yeah, no kidding. Or slabbing comics. And Captain Strangelife says maybe they love the smell of the new fangled vinyl / plastic. Plastic fumes for plastic people. I hate to admit this is far more entertaining than anything else on network TV. Yes, I'm glad Gratu isn't broadcasting in glorious smell-o-vision. I'm bagging and boarding as we listening to Drew, the wonderfully noxious gas bagel. Oh, the noxious gag. I'll take two. I'm bagging and boarding as we listen to Drew, the wonderfully noxious gas bag. Haha. Let's see what else we got here. All right, we're caught up with the amazing comments. All right, here's another comic found in the sewer. And Michael Dodd says, gas must be cheaper there since it's so plentiful. Yeah, gas is pretty cheap here. That's one good thing about moving here to Alaska. I just gassed up yesterday. It was only $79 to gas up my Subaru. And by the way, why does YouTube know to put ads on my YouTube stream about Subaru repair? How do they know I own a Subaru unless they're listening to the broadcast? That means they're listening to everything we say. And they hear the word Subaru, and I get Subaru ads. Because I mentioned that I had a Subaru, I think, in a broadcast recently. And so now I'm getting Subaru ads. How about that? How about that? It's incredible. Hulk. You ever heard of the Hulk? 120. Shit, that scared me. Who did that? Uh, who in the chat room did that? Scared the shit out of me. 133, 135. What else we got in here? Oh, wait. Oh, hold on a second. Yeah, some of these comics that I found in the sewer system are out of order. Hold on a second. Oh, yeah. Okay. Here's some. The Inferior Five. This is number 2. The Inferior Five. Yes. Marvel had not Brandak, and DC had the Inferior Five. Trust me, not Brandak was far superior. Here's their parody of Thor. I think reviews of Thor are starting to hit the internet. I was referring to the gas being passed so frequently. Oh, I was referring to the gasoline, petroleum. Yeah, so here, appearances by other DC superheroes. Yeah. Yes, it's like Christmas morning here on July the 4th, 2022, in the year of our Lord. Here's another Inferior Five. Oh, you guys aren't seeing them. I got to show the comics to the. I'm broadcasting on my regular show and also on this live stream. Okay, here's where they get a little ballsy and they start taking on the competition, like not Brandak did. See, they've defeated the Fantastic Four and Spider-Man. And I kind of like the way just a little bit of flame is coming up from Human Torch. That looks like the way Mr. Fantastic was defeated. Look how they, the little symbol in the center of his chest appears to have been removed. I have 2 copies of that particular issue. 8 viewers. I probably doesn't look like anyone wants to come on this evening. I might show a few more comics and then I'll ring off because I don't think my wife's feeling well. I need to go down there and see how she's doing. Here's Iron Man number 4, showing a little bit of damage from being in the sewer for several decades. A little bit of damage at the top and over on that side. And this one is, I don't know, some issue of Iron Man, but it has no cover. And this one is Iron Man number, yeah, we're getting into some coverless Iron Man comics now. All right. Is that the same? Here's another who needs a stinking cover on a comic? Iron Man 36. Here's Iron Man 42, still 15 cents. Here's King Size Special, Iron Man number 1. And another copy. How about that? Incredible. Um, Here's a copy of Genie from Marvel Comics. It's a little bit off register. Um, Leaving everybody a little bit with a blue aura around them. Tomorrow morning they're going to turn on CERN. Everybody's freaking out on the internet about CERN. Look up CERN, CERN. It's some big super collider underneath some suburban neighborhood in Sweden. They think that some people think it's going to release, it's going to create a portal to another world, and these other worldly Lovecraftian demons or fallen angels or whatever will emerge from the folly of these mad scientists. And see the damage from the sewer there. But it's still readable, even though it's covered in feces and urine and foul fecal matter. Here's Justice League of America number 19. So far you've seen about probably about $30,000 worth of comics this evening. Michael Dodd says global warming must be accelerating exponentially from the rampant flatulence at your HQ. It's actually not happening here. Oh, Captain Strangelife's coming on. Flatulence at your HQ. It's actually not. Oh, he went away. I think he realized there was he had his sound on. He'll probably come back. Yeah, I probably should turn off the fart sound effect. I have it going on a separate page because that would be disrespectful to the captain. Yes, indeed. This is Justice League of America number 23. Paulo is telling me the facts, man. Switzerland. What did I say? Sweden? No, there's no difference between Sweden and Switzerland. Come on, it's the same country. They've been fooling us. Switzerland. CERN is between Geneva and the border with France. Paulo's like, my teeth are getting yellow. My wife's been telling me, your teeth are getting so yellow. Paulo's like a school teacher. He lectures you on the facts, man. Okay, let's see. Let's get Captain's Life on. There you are.
We're in. Oh, wait a minute.
I hear you, but can't see you.
No, I know. I forgot to put my camera up.
Oh.
I didn't even have any beer.
Oh. I haven't had any yet either. What's been up?
Oh, what's been going on with you?
No, I've been enjoying your videos.
Man,
I was watching this video from I forget who. This guy had he told this story that he went to a flea market and he asked the guy, "Do you have any comics?" And the kid went over to this girl went over to her father and he says, "Yeah, we had some. You heard that hero Spider-Man? We had some of my dad's comics here." He's a guy in his 50s, and he said he kept them in a vault. I sold them yesterday. It was Spider-Man 1 through 80.
Oh.
He said,
I don't know if I can believe.
He was like, he got like real, like trembly, and then the guy got realized, I probably made a mistake selling it. He says, how much did you sell those for? Well, $100. They weren't. They were just worth cover price. It said 12 cents on them.
You think it was a true story?
It's supposed to be a true story. It may have been clickbait. The guy is like some major guy with all these statues out, probably cost $500 behind him, and he buys and resells comics. He says those comics were clearly said 15 or 20 cents. If you're a major comic collector, you know that Spider-Man 1 through 80 are not 15 or 20 cent comics. Anyway, he looked them up the value and determined that that was about almost $500,000 worth of comics if they were all in 9.0 condition, because he figured they must be, because he said his father kept them in a vault and blah blah blah. And so he said, I've been upset all week that I missed it by one day, and who knows if it was a true story or not, but probably wasn't. But that inspired me. Maybe I should put up a title. I found $60,000 worth of comics in the sewer. Yeah, because everyone's
So that's where that came from.
yeah. I was just yeah. And plus you had that great luck of that guy
Yeah,
giving you
Brian.
all those comics.
Yeah, Brian Koppel. He had a whole stack of comics he found up in the loft. You know, the house that he bought out here in Morton Grove.
Yeah,
That was
that's
just, but yeah, I mean, it's nothing was really to me. It's all special stuff, but it's nothing, major. Like
yeah.
3 issues of, like you were saying, Amazing Fantasy 15 or Action Comics. It's all from 1969 and 1970, and a few from 66.
Yeah, but
I like
some of
the
the stuff.
cover with Jerry Lewis, though.
See, I
Remember,
really like Jerry Lewis, especially and that's I love the monster stuff
this
and
is like a little shop of horrors to me,
right,
with
yeah,
Dick Miller and that guy Jonathan Hayes, was it, or something like that?
but
And that was that Roger Corman?
yeah,
It
Jerry
was.
Lewis and the Bob Hope comics. Bob Hope, I guess, is the one that had more of the traditional monsters on the cover. Jerry Lewis tended to have this like Nazi summer camp counts.
Yeah, he was a lot
on the,
more a lot
they're
more
always
wacky.
Nazis on the cover of Jerry Lewis.
He was a
Uh,
lot more wacky, yeah. And Bob
uh,
Hope was a little bit more cartoony, I think.
yeah, but it don't. Yeah, they were, and but yeah, all that Charlton War stuff that was cool, and that Jughead's Eat Out. That's hilarious.
Yeah, whack a boy, Camp Whack a boy.
Was that on the cover of the Eat Out,
Uh,
or was that on another Archie comic?
Wait a minute, maybe I can find it. I'm bagging and boarding these as we speak. Those books.
Yeah, I looked that up on mycomicshop.com. That's Archie comic series number whatever, a giant series, and
It was.
so they don't have it. That just would be so great on a wall. They just
Yeah.
uh,
Well, that's going to go up in value now that I found it and started talking about it. They're going to be more likely. They're going to see, anybody who sees this is going to
you
look through
know.
the Archie comics and
Do you
famous
know?
Boy cover.
Do you know there's a YouTube channel called Kayfabe? You ever watch that?
No, no.
It's these two young comic artists. One does this really grisly, bloody comic called Red Room, and he also has done some history of hip hop music. And the other guy works for Marvel doing histories of some of the heroes. That actually he goes through every issue and covers in several issues the whole history of the Fantastic Four or Hulk. Anyway, these two guys are friends, and they'll go through like an issue of Boom, or they'll go through some Wally Wood comic, and since they're both artists, they'll look at the art and they're amazed by it, and they just examine it panel by panel. They're really good. It's very interesting, but what they do is they call it the kayfabe effect. They say when we talk about a book, then all of a sudden it's sold out at mycomicshop.com because all the people that watch their channel go trying to find it. So they said, if you subscribe to us, we'll tell you what books we're about to review beforehand, so you can beat the kayfabe effect and you can go get those books before everybody starts looking for them. I thought that was a little bit, if not evil.
That's what people do. That famous cover where I had to beat off 3 guys cover.
Yeah.
The beat off cover. I remember when that was around $20 or so, and then I was talking about it one time, and then somebody else started talking about it, and then all of a sudden, weeks later, the prices were jumping up on that comic book.
Did you start that?
I don't know if that was me or what, but
well,
I can't find it.
You wonder, were they just naive and didn't know what that is? Probably World War II generation guys drawing and writing, maybe, and they just didn't know.
They probably didn't realize it, but Eric Breen thinks it was deliberate, But
Yeah, because then you see like Dan DeCarlo later working and doing strips and Penthouse comics, and then you realize, oh, this guy wrote. I mean, you see, he also did dirty, somewhat not X-rated, but stuff in men's magazines, and you realize, oh, okay, so he really was interested in the female form quite a bit, and so it's like. Jack Cole also did a lot of Playboy art. And then you realize, well, uh, but
oh, wait a minute, that wasn't Archie. That was Jerry Lewis. Camp,
oh, okay,
Camp
yeah.
Whack-A-Boy.
Well, the people doing Jerry Lewis,
Sure.
I don't know. Is that Sheldon Meyer? Shelley?
Who did the cover?
Well, I mean, who's the? Am I thinking Moldoff? What am I thinking?
Shelley Moldoff.
Um,
No, I don't think he.
Meyer is the guy that did Three Musketeers, right? And Sugar and Spike.
I believe so.
Okay, because these older guys. I mean, things meant different things to different generations. Like,
sure. I mean, the famous Joker issue where they talked about the Joker.
I was thinking
about, at that time, a boner meant a joke or a mistake. Or
right,
a massive mistake or something.
My parents were basically the World War II generation because they had me later in life, and so I was my contemporaries. Their parents were much younger, so the word boner to me, and so I remember someone in math class telling me, "Oh, don't use that word. It doesn't mean what you think it means." It's like, sure, it just means a silly mistake. And so, no, it's not what it means. He explained what it means. So, and that happened with the Mad Staff in '74 when they had the blue cover and it just had a hand flipping you off and it said the number one magazine, and they had to apologize to all the subscribers and all the kids that got that in the mail, and they said, to us that just means nuts to you. That's what it meant in World War II, nuts to you. And then now it just only means fuck you. And it did in the 70s. And they didn't realize that. So that was.
That is also. I got to admit, though, that Joker's boner story was really hilarious. I mean, almost like every panel that you read, just. I had a wonder, man, and they must have did this on purpose, man, but they couldn't have because they didn't. That time a boner, didn't mean anything,
Yeah. Sometimes you wonder on some things, are they just naive or?
It had to be, yeah.
I know I remember reading in the Jim Steranko history of comics that in the golden age, there were certain words you could not use in comic books because the printing presses the ink would sometimes go together, and the word flick, you could never use the word flick because it could print and look like fuck. And
yeah.
So.
Oh man. And yeah. Did you ever read that story?
The boner story. Yeah. I've got it reprinted somewhere.
I'll make them pay for laughing at the Joker's boner.
Yeah.
Camp Whack-A-Boy.
Right. Well,
I thought it was Archie.
Yeah, I don't think they thought we're thinking that. They were just thinking kids being corporal punishment. That one, I don't think. Now, the eat out, I think the expression eat out.
Beat out.
I've got a book called The History of Slang and Euphemism, and it traces all the curse words back to when they basically started, as far back as they can find it, used in books and literature, the history of these words. And then I've got another one that has dirty words in all the different languages and how they're the different words in each language, what they mean.
But some of the stuff was done on purpose, especially in the artwork.
Yeah. I don't know where I turned off the fart sound effect, and it was just is that you? Do you have a little toy or something?
It wasn't me. I didn't do it.
I turned off the sound effect. Come on.
That wasn't me.
Okay. So, Yeah. So what's been up?
Not much, but did you see this? This is deliberate. This has got to be deliberate. These are the monkeys. Look at Peter Tork there.
You were showing that he has a breast,
Yeah, right there.
but if you put that the right direction, is that just show that since there is that gravity of the pajamas sagging? If you look at it,
No, that's a breast, man. I mean, it's.
yeah, because it's wet and it's going to be clinging. Yeah,
I don't think so, man.
yeah,
Let me
yeah,
get it out of the bag here. I'm almost positive this was deliberate. I mean, they look effeminated as it is. I mean, look at them. Man. They look ridiculous.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That is pretty bad. But oh yeah, that looks real bad. You know what would be great? He probably wouldn't want to do this because it's kind of sacrilegious. Graphic man likes to do
Yeah.
the collages.
Well,
But imagine
you
the
can be
Last
Peter
Supper.
Tork.
But imagine the Last Supper, and to the right of Jesus sitting there, you've got them. Don't they kind of look like the people at the Last Supper? So put the monkeys on the left side, and then have Jesus in the center, and then probably put the four color fossils on the other side. I don't think he would
Or
do that
maybe the
because
four
he's a
color
very
fossils.
religious
The
guy.
four color fossils as the monkeys.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The
You could be Peter Tork. You could.
that is so. Yeah, that's Charlton art for sure. Is Charlton or is that Dell?
No, this is a Dell comic.
Oh, okay. Well,
And, I mean, they're totally they totally look like girls, effeminated.
I don't think I've ever run across a monkeys comic. Yeah, they really do. But what about the rest of the comic? Do they look that bad? I
I
mean,
think so. I mean, I.
they were. I mean, teen idols aimed at 11, 12-year-old girls generally aren't super masculine.
There's Michael Nesmith.
Yeah. Yeah, his mother invented liquid paper.
He looks like a female pirate.
Yeah, they seem to be pretty consistently effeminate throughout the book.
Can't get it to focus there, man. Well, anyway, yeah, I think that was kind of deliberate. And the art's really bad. So.
Yeah. Yeah, well.
But now watch this one go up in value.
Well, the monkeys have been big for a while. I mean,
You don't find them a lot though either on just on eBay or on the net anywhere. Not even
no,
my
because
comic shop has it.
the monkeys, it's kind of like romance comics. Those were bought by little girls, and they didn't save their comics like guys did.
Possible. I don't know. I remember I was a girl when I lived at in Lakeview in Chicago, Lakeview area on Waveland Avenue. There was a girl there. Her name was Linny. She collected comic books, and she just took immaculate care of the comic books. Wouldn't let anybody read them except me. But I really wasn't that interested in them. But she had collected stuff like the Monkeys, and Archie comics and Herbie, the Fat Fury. She collected all that, and they were just really immaculate.
Well,
So
she's
maybe
probably
she's
one of
like the exception or something.
yeah, one of the exceptions that has caused some of those books to survive. I wasn't really sure Herbie. You don't see those books very often, and I didn't. I guess
Eat
girls.
out. Yeah.
Here, let me make that big. Hold on a second.
Eat out.
Let me remember how to do this. Hold on a second. I'm trying to remember how to do this. Oh yeah. Whoop! Shoot.
Oh, this reminds me of when we were on the elevator. You couldn't stop. It went up, it went down, went up, it went down.
Oh, I finally sort of mastered it.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. Yeah, and you found your family name was the
Yeah, it was
manufacturer.
right on the motor. The name of the company that we had, distributing wine and beer. That was the name of it.
Yeah.
That was kind of interesting to see that.
Yeah, all your stuff is still in the bathroom there.
Oh, it is?
Are those your towels on the rack?
Yeah, I think I must have left them there too.
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah, yeah.
I
It's
don't know.
all I don't know. There's 4 bathrooms. I never use that bathroom, so it's all
Yeah.
there.
I don't know when I'm gonna get up there. We're gonna list the house up
Oh,
we're gonna, next. I think we're gonna try to do it next week.
oh no.
The other house. I've been working on it a lot, and so we'll see. Now they're telling me that the market has went down, and they're telling me you won't get as much as you could have gotten 3 months ago when everybody was wacko around here. They were actually in a bidding wars to get houses, and
Yeah.
now it's just went the opposite way. So I don't know.
Well, it's probably not gonna get better. So maybe you just need to get out while you can.
Not
Plus,
unless we get a Republican in a couple of years.
yeah, I mean, that's true, but in those 2 years,
Well, that
how
can
wacko
happen.
is the city going to become? I mean, you may want
Yeah,
to get out of
really.
there.
Yeah, we just had some riots over here at Six Corners.
So
It's not far from between this house and the other house, right about in the middle there.
yeah,
And I was watching it on TV. These guys were going nuts in the street. They were jumping on cop cars, trying to smash the windows with the cops in the car.
was this over
In
one of the
Chicago.
shootings, or was this one
No,
over the
I
abortion?
have I don't know. I didn't. I just saw the video. I don't know why. It just went crazy.
Yeah.
But I could have had something to do with Akron, Ohio. I don't know.
Oh, right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
And then,
it's just
then
nuts. I just hate what's going on in this whole country right now. I'm so depressed. I don't even want to leave the house. I was telling my wife, what do I want to go out for?
yeah,
I don't even feel like leaving the house. I
right,
feel like
right.
leaving the planet.
Yeah.
That's what I'd like to do.
Well, then you're going to be in the position that I was in. It's like boxing up all that stuff in your basement. Um,
Yeah, holy shit, man! I got a lot of stuff here.
because in order to get, I mean, the rest of your house is, I assume, is pretty. From what I've seen in your videos, is pretty nice. It's just the basement is
It's
you're
packed.
gonna
It's
have to walk
nuts.
sideways to get in there, look around.
I have no other place to store it, and it's upstairs the same way. I have a room upstairs that's all independent comics and posters and stuff, and my small bed's in there, my twin bed, and I have to walk sideways to get to my bed.
Yeah, well, I know,
Crazy.
I know, I know. But yeah. So you're still vacillating between two places, what are you guys thinking?
No, we're gonna put this up. Probably not this house, but the other one, the 2 or 3 flat next week.
Okay. Oh, so you're going to sell that?
Right, and then stay here for maybe another year or so,
Okay.
and
But
then
with the proceeds of that sale, could you buy something somewhere else and then gradually move to that house and then sell this house once it's vacant? Does that make sense? Like
it's possible.
move over a year or two, and then when Trump or DeSantis comes into office, or if that's allowed, I don't know if that's, we can't talk about
Yeah, I know. I had that problem the other week.
well, I'm not monetized and I probably never will be, but yeah, that's unbelievable because you hardly said anything. And
No, yeah, and they wouldn't let me monetize. I couldn't because I was mentioning Biden. Because I mentioned Biden and the economy all in the same sentence and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah, and it upset someone said in the comments, I was going to subscribe to you because I love comic collecting, but what did he say? Something like it was insane.
I didn't read all the comments.
Oh, you didn't see the comment? he said oh, it was funny. He said, but you said that. He said, let me look it up. I want to. I can't remember. But anyway,
Because I said something about the economy and
no, it was really funny. And then my wife got some old friend of hers. She just lost an old friend because he said, you should have respect for the people that run Facebook and their authority. And you should, because you're on their platform and you should show them respect and not talk about these things. It's like people are so,
crazy. I mean,
so
this is supposed to be a free society, not a totalitarian government. This ain't George Orwell's 1984.
Have you read that book
Turning
lately?
into it,
It's almost spot on what we're going through.
it's kind of turning into this.
You still have commercials before your show that's not monetized, but they're still making money off of you. They're just not giving it to you because you had politically incorrect thought.
Yeah, right.
The guy says, where is it?
Maybe I got rid of it, but I don't know.
No, you didn't. Here it is. It says, more crime because you have a Democratic mayor. Was going to subscribe because I love comic book collecting, but fuck your politics and your shitty basement. And they put little asterisk in the F and the S word because they wanted it to not be taken down.
I didn't see that.
Someone named Chi Tin says it was a great city under Daley.
Better.
Was it a great city under Daley? I think
it was a lot better, I think,
but was he a little mobby?
Yeah, they called him the boss, is what they did. That was his nickname, the boss.
He's the guy that got Kennedy in instead of Nixon, right? That was
and then ever since the '68 riots, the Democrats didn't want him. They kicked him out of the convention, and they didn't want him at the national convention. He was there, and they made him leave.
But it's so weird how things have changed. I remember that in Chicago, what is that called? The people that are supposed to be for free speech. Anyway, it's some acronym. The people that champion free speech are used to. Some Nazis wanted to march in Chicago.
Oh yeah,
ACLU, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then they back then the liberals were saying, yeah, we hate them and we're going to go out and counter protest them, but they have the right to march. Now it's like absolute.
The Civil Liberties Union or something.
Civil Liberties Union. Yeah. Back then they fought because the whole premise behind the country was that you should have the freedom, even if it's terrible, you should be able to say whatever you think. We have freedom of speech.
Yeah, you allowed your opinion, yeah.
Unless you're like doing something that'll hurt someone, like shouting fire in a crowded theater or giving out the address of someone and saying, hey, this person needs to be taken care of, which is what they do now. They gave out the addresses of Supreme Court justices and stuff.
Yeah, I wonder who that one. I wonder if they'll ever get that person that leaked that information about Roe v. Wade.
Oh, it's probably someone very high up. In fact, I don't know. Yeah,
might come down to one of the justices or something, and then they're going to be out.
Could be, yeah. It definitely could be one of the actual justices. There's no telling. So, yeah. So isn't there some big convention happening in Chicago soon?
Fan Expo. They used to call that Wizard World. That used to be the original Chicago Comic Con. Then it became Wizard World, and now it's called Fan Expo. I'm not going to that. I'm going right across the street from there. There's another convention, a small convention called the Monster Con, with toys and action figures and comics related to different monsters, all the monster genre from Universal and Godzilla and all that stuff.
Yeah, that's a wise choice because the Comic Con is probably all anime and cosplay and
Wrestlers, and strippers and
yeah,
centerfolds and stuff.
that's the convention I choose.
So we're gonna be going. I'm probably gonna be going there with Leo from Time Travel.
Oh yeah, that guy is so cool.
And then I think later in the month we're gonna do a show. He and I and Dave, Spinner Rack. He's gonna be down here at a convention, some kind of Christmas convention, but it's a private convention. You got to be a member
Yeah,
in order to go to that convention. You got to be a member of the organization or something. But after he's done with that, we're all gonna meet up and maybe do a show out in Lombard.
have you
London.
seen
Huh?
have you seen Spinner Rack's other channels? He's got a Christmas channel. You know,
No, I gotta check that out. What is
he's,
that?
he just decks his house out. I mean, he and his wife go all out with Christmas decorations, and they've got all these vintage the ones that bubble.
Yeah,
Like,
I got a lot of those too.
and he explains how he has the power come at like half current or something, so
Yeah.
it doesn't damage it's a yeah,
Yeah,
he's
they
not,
have. You can. There's like transformers or something that reduce the amount of voltage in those bulbs, and you can kind of control it.
yeah, he's
So
not just a comic book collector, he's a big Christmas and I think Halloween guy. I mean,
I love those two holidays too.
yeah.
But I don't have anywhere near probably as much as that guy has. But
Oh
I
no,
do got a lot of the bubble lights, and I got candles where you used to put lampshades on, battery operated light candles.
mm,
Then they'd spin around from the heat, and
right.
the shade would spin around, and on the shade you'd have different scenes of Christmas and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
So I got things like that. Do you know what that channel is? What they call it?
Oh, I could probably find out. There might be links from his comics channel.
Yeah, I'll go to his channel and check that out.
If not,
My eyes are getting crazy, man. I'm getting hard to focus.
oh yeah.
Yeah, I was getting tired from doing all this bagging and boarding. Then I'm starting to look at the comics, and I start to read them, and then I got to take my glasses off.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just I've got to put on these reading glasses to focus on comics close up.
Oh, this guy, he just told me a couple days ago, the guy that I got all these books from, he found a stack of Mads up there now. Now, I don't know how many, I didn't even ask him, but he's going to give me those too.
Oh, cool.
So I'm going to see what they are. There might be a short stack. I don't know what it is. I should have asked him, but we were painting at the same time he was telling me that.
Well, you had a Mad cover in there. They're probably going to be from that same time period.
Yeah, that's right. There was a. Yeah, I was wondering how did that get in there? And I guess it must. I never even thought about that. That could be from
That's
something
part of
else
the
that
other
was still up
stack.
there.
Well, that's an amazing stack. I mean, that's a lot of fun.
What did I do with that? I didn't throw that out. No way. Oh, it's probably around here somewhere. I know it is, that page. Well, anyway. Whoa. Shit. Oh, yeah. Here's the original Chicago Comic Con.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the ones I attended. I wonder if Stan Lee was at this one. Yeah. He was at this one, walking around, right on the floor, just walking around. And people would walk up to him and ask for autographs and things.
What year would that have been?
This is I think this one is 76. Let me I was there in 72 is when it all started. and I was there in 72, 73. This is 1976. And then there's a picture of
Jeanette Kahn.
a sketch of Jeanette Kahn and signed by Neil Adams.
Yeah.
Who drew that? And what else I got in here? Oh, Stan Lee. Stan Lee got his signature in here. This is the program guide from that convention.
Oh.
Then the other signature there is Larry Sherritt, who wrote this article, and he was one of the organizers of the convention. Larry Sherritt. I see him a lot at the Wizard World, now called Fan Expo, when I go there. He still sells comic books. The guy used to have one of the first shops in Chicago called Larry's Comic Book Shop. Him and Joe, what the hell was his name? He had the Comic Book Kingdom, Joe Zarno. But those two guys had, I think, the first real comic book shops. But before they were there, I used to go to a place in the late 60s called in downtown Chicago called the Acme. They had movie posters and the stills and comic books and old newspapers. They had everything related to paper. That was a true, what do you call it? Word for paper, collecting paper items.
What do you think was the first comic store? Like, period.
Oh, that I wouldn't know. But in Chicago, it had to be the Acme. The first real comic stores, I think, were Larry Sherritt's what did he call it? Larry's Comics and the Comic Kingdom. But then there was the Acme before that in the late 60s.
And those were all in Chicago?
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, what was the first comic store in the U.S.?
That I don't know.
Because I know there was a store in Los Angeles called Cherokee Books, and I think the comic section was upstairs, and it was all comics, and that was because Billy Mumy from Lost in Space sings a song about Cherokee Books, and while he was a kid filming Lost in Space on Saturdays, his mom, or he would go on a bus, or his mom would take him to Cherokee Books, and he'd get, Golden Age or Marvel.
Hey, happy 4th, Eric Breen. Happy 4th.
Oh, yeah, I didn't see him there.
He just popped in.
We could probably get him in if someone...
You know what? I think the first comic book shop was also the first repair shop. The guy would repair comics and encourage kids to come into his shop. And he did that, I think, possibly into the 70s.
Huh.
Maybe into the 80s. But it started in the 1940s, and it was called Pops. Pops Comics and... God, where did it?
Hey,
Comics and repair. That it had to be, because that was in the 40s. And I think. Oh man, I forget.
Weird. A comic repair shop. I've heard of a bike repair shop.
Yeah, this was. He repaired books, and encouraged kids to bring in their old books, and he would tape them up, put the covers back on, and I don't know what else he did. He cleaned them, and this was in the 1940s. And I read about this a couple of times, and now I can't think about where I read that.
There's several books about the history of comic fandom. I've got several that talk about how different parts of the country, how things, they're talking about, like, was it pronounced Bill Joe White? Wasn't he the big Batman guy? They put out a magazine called Batmania, a fanzine, and different guys that, and there was There was this guy. God, what was his name? He made some movies like, Ron Haydock. He did rockabilly music, but he also put out some monster magazines, and he was big into fandom. Eric Breen, if you want to come on, I would have to send you the link through Twitter, and I don't know how to do that. If someone, I just put the link up in chat. If someone could go to Twitter and type in Eric Breen and then give him this address, if he wants to come on, he may not be able to, but if someone could do that. I can't do that with my setup here. I don't know what I'm doing. Whenever I do it, he can't click on it.
Who was that guy that had the museum out there? Jeppy? Didn't he have the?
Steve, is it Jeppy? Yeah. Yeah, I never went to, where was that museum at?
Boston, I think. Was it in Boston? I'm not sure now, but I think also was associated with a site that hosted pop culture history and stuff, and I can't remember the name of that site now. And that's where I read about, first found out about this guy, Pop's comic shop from the 1940s. So that they even thought that this had to be the first actual comic book store and repair store, magazine repair store. Somebody's got to know. Somebody that is listening to this. What was that website called that he had? Damn.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'll probably find out it later.
It's been years since I read that book on the history of comic fandom, but then there's always the first comic dealers that would advertise in the comics, and there was Howard Rogowski.
Yeah.
And there was
Robert
Bell, yeah. A good friend of mine gave me his whole Avengers collection from like issue 16 through the mid 1970s. So, that was really great because neither of his daughters had any interest in it, and he had X-Men 1 through, the new X-Men. He sent that off to be auctioned at Heritage, and he felt like he was kind of gypped. He wasn't sure that the ones that he saw in the catalog were actually his. But so he didn't know if they were, So anyway, he also has like all the Spider-Mans, the 60s Spider-Mans, but he's holding on to those and his Kirby DC stuff. But and I think, what else did he have? It was either Warlock or Captain Marvel, but he says he knew his daughters weren't interested in it, so he just gave it to me. He said, "I know you'll," and it was
better you than some schmuck that's just gonna,
But anyway, my whole point is a lot of them were still in the Robert Bell bags that he'd gotten them from when he ordered them, and so I think I got it from you. I knew the bags were significant. I didn't want to save them all, but I know they're historical artifacts. It's the first comic bags, so I think it was you that put a backing board in. And just the backing board only, just to preserve the bag itself.
Yeah,
I did that with a few of them.
That's what I've done. Yeah.
And I thought, and then Howard Rogowski. I saw an interview with him in some comics journal or something, and they were goofing on him because he used to say that tape was not a defect, having tape on a comic.
Hey, Gary Arlington, Horror Mike is saying that first comic book shop, Gary Arlington, 1967.
Horror Mike has got some a lot of knowledge.
And then he must know about Pops. He must know about Pops. That was a comic shop in the 1940s. He sold comics and lots of other stuff. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to send the link to Twitter.
What I do, what I tried to do is I take the link and I just type it in letter and every letter and number into Twitter, and then it doesn't work. It never does. And then by the time I finish,
You wasted all
then
that
someone
time.
else sends him the link. But
Yeah,
I'm not good at this stuff, you know.
yeah, I'm not
Captain
that good.
Strangeliffe sends it all out to everybody by email
Yeah,
days in advance. He does it so professionally. Yeah.
not Captain Strangelife. You mean
Sorry, not
graphic
you.
man?
Not that you're not professional.
Graphic,
Graphic man,
graphic man. Yeah.
Micah. Yeah, sorry. My mind.
Yeah, it's hard to do. I didn't even know that you were hosting the show the other
Oh,
day.
Wednesday. Well, the week before, he was talking about next week's show, and then his wife came in and said, "Remember, we're going to still be camping next Wednesday night." So
Yeah,
people said, "Well, maybe you can host the show, Kenneth." And I said, "Okay." And then so hosted the show. It was kind of a travesty of what he normally does because he's
I didn't
normally
even know it was on, so I would, or else I would have.
um,
And I did get into the chat for a while when I saw that you were in.
yeah.
But
I guess just assume that every Wednesday night that it's on, and if he's all 99.9% of the time he does it. But I think once before I was a guest host. I was kind of like an Ed McMahon, but that's not. I'm not. I don't run it as well as he does.
Ed
And
McMahon,
yeah, no, as well as Graphic Man does.
Ed
So
McMahon, is he still alive?
Ed McMahon,
Yeah, you just mentioned Ed McMahon.
yeah, I kind of would doubt it, but I don't know.
He's being Johnny Carson. Well, I don't know. I might be getting off. I hope that maybe Eric can come on before I go
Well,
off.
yeah, I probably need to see how my wife's doing. I just
Oh
sent
yeah,
her
she's not
a text
feeling
and
well. You got to take care of her.
she says, oh, she's doing okay. Thanks for checking. She'll let me know if she gets hungry. Don't worry. So I mean, I can stay on for a little bit, but yeah, I mainly came on because I did a show earlier, and this friend of mine said he wanted to do a show with me tonight, and so I mentioned tonight I'll be going live with a special guest. And then when I finished the show, I saw he said, "No, I can't do it tonight. I'll have to do it Thursday." But I'd already promised I was going on live, so I thought I'll
Oh,
go ahead and do that. And then Thursday, I'll do a live show with him. He's got some surprise.
was that the guy who was on before with the Pulps or someone else?
No, it's. I don't think he's ever been on. His girlfriend came on. They're like they used to be professional clowns, and now they do
Oh yeah, they were on
comic
before.
books.
They did Santa Claus.
Yeah, but I don't think he came on. She was on as Santa Claus, and she was on as herself
Uh huh.
promoting comics, but I don't think I'm not sure if he's coming on or if he got someone else to come on
Oh
promoting the comics, but it's something related to him. So I guess I'll find out Thursday. It's very
yeah,
mysterious.
that
But
might be.
yeah, the guy for us that showed the pulps, I think he said he was going to come here in the second week in July for just one night, and he was going to stay in a local motel. I think he said that.
Yeah, here's Horror Mike.
Oh,
He'll be glad to come on if you need another guest.
oh, sure, yeah. Hold on, let's see. I haven't been looking at the comments. Okay, yeah. Let me give you the
Oh,
link.
Ed is there. Yeah, Ed McMahon is dead, says Christopher Schneider. Yeah.
Yeah, I would assume so.
Yeah, I would have thought so too.
Because it's not like
He was
he's
already old then. He was an old guy back then.
yeah, and it's like he never really he was like this beer drinking, not really healthy looking guy. I mean, someone like Julie Newmar, you figure, oh yeah, it makes sense that she's still alive. She was always healthy, but Ed McMahon, I just wouldn't. Okay, the link's in the chat. See if that works. And someone please send a link to Eric Breen. Just all you have to do is go to Twitter. If you have a Twitter account, find Eric Breen. He's the only one on there, and just type in or just cut and paste this thing. Yeah, I don't know, Horror Mike. Maybe he'd be a new four color fossil for the Graphic Man show.
That depends on how old he is. If he's 22 years old, I mean.
I have a feeling Horror Mike is
Older than me?
I don't know. I think
Over
he
the
just.
dirt.
Oh, actually, he looks like a young guy. What? He's just very scholarly.
Yeah, you're right. I am old.
I,
He's not an old guy. You can't be a four-color
you're,
fossil.
you're right.
He doesn't look a
I
day
am only
older.
28.
28.
well, you look like you're in your mid-30s. I don't know.
Did you ever
Paul's
hear,
a four-color fossil, and he's young. I don't
Mike?
think you have to technically be.
Mike, how you doing? Welcome.
Hey,
You know,
Did you ever hear of a guy in the 40s? He supposedly had the first comic book shop.
hey, say
He,
I'm getting like a double.
are you watching the show at the same time that you're on?
Yeah, hold on. There we go. Is that better?
Yeah.
it's fine.
Excellent.
Okay.
Hey, say, yeah, I'm actually only 23, so I'm just kidding. Just kidding. I'm 59.
Are you?
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, I've
You're
been through it all.
between.
I was there.
The guy's
You
got
know.
a baby face. How could he be 59 years old? He's got a baby face.
Well, it's that oil of Olay that I.
I put on some vitamin E oil, by the way. I'm not kidding, man. Get it from my wife.
Well, it does. It can't help. You know. Hey,
Yeah.
gentlemen, Gratu and Captain Strangelife, a pleasure to meet you
I see
live
you.
in the virtual flesh, as it were.
Man, I figured you were 80 with all your knowledge. You read a lot of books, apparently.
No, I'm just fast on the internet. But
So, did you ever hear of this a shop in the 1940s called Pops? They sold comic books. It was an older guy, and he did this, I think, into the early 80s. He sold comic books and he repaired them. He sold new ones and he repaired older books and then resold them again.
Huh. And he was it was specifically a comics dealer.
Yeah, it's in the 19.
Well,
he also dealt with magazines, though. He sold magazines and newspapers, but mostly it was comic books.
well, then he beats Arlington by decades.
Yeah, this was Jeppy who had the museum. Remember before they closed it? Wasn't that Steve Jeppy that had the museum?
Where was the museum in Boston?
I think so.
Yeah, that's a good.
He also ran a site, the pop culture site, where they were talking about this. So they had a large not a stream, a chat going on where they were talking about Pops in the first shop, and they had the whole history of it, and they had some of the signs that he had in his store and everything, and then he had a flood at one point, and he lost he had all these old comics from the late 30s, early 40s, and he lost that in one of he had them stacked high from the floor to the ceiling in the basement. Got ruined in a flood, but he still kept going after that. He still kept selling the comic books, and this started in the 1940s. So they say he's got to be the first guy that had a comic shop.
Yeah, and the funny thing is that you would think that in the 1950s there would have definitely been some comic shops. I mean, there were, the comics were huge. I mean, granted, I guess it was mainly people would buy them on the newsstands and so forth, but I just think that I read that. I just went online and I was reading about this guy, Gary Arlington. And that's what it says. It's 1967, but that just seems too late.
But that could be the first true comic book store,
maybe as a purist.
The pure comic book store is probably the first one.
Yeah, there were a lot of early comic stores that were part like a room or the upstairs or the basement in a used bookstore.
Yeah, there were a lot of places.
It was like a comic store, but it was part of a bigger thing. Yeah, I have a feeling that's what a lot of those were, little sections.
I used to go
probably
1965 and 1966. I remember going to a place on Belmont. I can't remember the name of it, but it was near the L station. And this woman ran the shop, and you'd go on one side, she had nothing but comic books, and on the other side, she had all the magazines and paperbacks. And her desk would be right in the front of all of that. You'd walk up to the desk, and then to the right of the desk, as you were facing her, would be tons of comic books all stacked up on these tables, and on the left side there was all the magazines and paperbacks. And
Wow.
this was in 65, 66, and I can't remember the name of the store though. But it
Yeah.
was an older lady that ran it, and right across the street from there was another news dealer that had sold old comics, and he used to have, like, and I talked about this before. Well, not this place, but inside the store he had uh, all the early Captain Marvels from one,
Jeez.
on up, and you had them hanging on a string with a wooden noose, clothesline clip.
Yeah. Wow.
That was right
Wow.
across the street from there, but I can't remember the name of that place either.
God.
So, but that Arlington, I think I've read about him too. I think that is the first true, pure place that.
And maybe it was, but you guys were talking about Cherokee,
Yeah,
and there was there was Cherokee, there was Larry Edmonds, which was another biggie in Los Angeles, and I lived at that in the mid late 70s. I was living in Lancaster, which is about 70 miles north of Los Angeles, so I'd be able to get down there like once every month or 2 months to these, and I would go, of course, to Larry Edmonds and Cherokee, and this is the late 70s,
yeah,
and he just had stuff in boxes like loaded on the floor, just in boxes. I recall pulling a three sheet, mind you, which they're huge
right,
movie
right,
posters,
yeah.
of I Married a Monster from Outer Space,
Oh,
which which I bought for $4 in the late 70s. And this guy just had all that stuff, and it makes me wonder because at that time I was really into films, memorabilia, posters, and not as much into the comics. Although I had some, and I did buy them. But I could only imagine what this guy had, at that time, and uh,
if
before.
only, if only
Go
we
ahead.
would have had more money in the time, and known what they were going to cost,
Right.
in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, he had, the comics in boxes, beneath, and believe it or not, this is like, the poster I'm talking about was just buried in a box underneath the table that
Wow.
had all the good stuff on it, just incredible. So those places were like my favorite, some of my favorite haunts, of course, back in the day. And
Yeah,
and naturally, of course, there were such famous monsters was huge. And all of those spin-off magazines.
Yeah.
right.
So I had a ton of those. I was really into that, a lot. And I wasn't seriously into comic collecting until later, but the film magazines, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, all that stuff kind of comes together, as American pop culture. It's
Yeah. It's all
one
part of
kind
this.
of leads into the other a bit in some ways.
Yeah,
Yeah.
check it out. Check it out, guys. I just unearthed this from my uh, shelf, and I've been ogling it. You gotta check it out. Here we go. Now this is Suspense #3,
Oh,
Hold on.
Atlas, 1950.
Wow.
Right now, the thing about Suspense #3 is that, and there's a few things.
what
One
is
is
that?
that it's the first horror issue of the Suspense series, right? I mean, the first two issues were not horror. This is when they launched in, 1950. You can only imagine Stan Lee at the Empire State Building,
What is it?
Atlas Comics, and they launch into the all horror issues of Suspense,
And then they
and
changed the title.
you look in there. That's a good question. This is Suspense #3, and I could have sworn they at least had a dozen issues of Suspense.
Uh huh.
But if you
That's
look
real.
close, check out that shrunken head. So
Yeah,
it's got the shrunken head
he's
cover.
got the Hulk haircut.
He's got. Yeah.
So that's a different title from Tales of Suspense.
Yes, it is suspense. It's well, yeah. It just says what it really says. It says on the top, "Real life tales of suspense." And I was looking at those because there is an Atlas title just called Suspense.
Right.
That's it, and this is it. This is the third
That
issue, and this is when they kicked into the horror.
they may have had to change the title because of the radio series Suspense. Maybe that's why they became
Maybe
Tales of Suspense, to be just enough different. It's like
that is possible. I gotta say this. I mean, this is one of the things I make films. I make low budget horror films, science fiction films, stuff like that.
oh,
And
I've seen your stuff on YouTube. That's why your
oh,
name.
maybe did you see Haunted Thrills, my documentary? It's a
I
documentary on pre-code horror comics called Haunted Thrills. It's on my channel, the Horror Mike channel. If you get a chance,
yeah.
check it out. It's been doing the film festival circuit for the last year,
Right.
and doing pretty well. Surprisingly, I was kind of astonished. But what happened is I was living in Peru at
Oh,
the time that I was developing this idea to do a documentary on pre-code horror comics, and when I came back to the United States for a few months, at that time I decided, okay, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it, or it's never gonna happen. So what I did, I had contacted 3 of the living pre-code horror artists that were on the East Coast that were still alive. There aren't many of them, but Joe Sinnott, of course, Everett Raymond Kinsler, who I think was one of the greatest artists. That he didn't last too long in the comics, but that guy was just one of the best artists in comics. There was no doubt about it. His stuff is amazing.
Yeah.
And and Victor Carabata, who worked for Atlas, right? So I went up I rented a car. I drove up the East Coast. I interviewed all of those guys. All of those guys were in their 90s. And Everett Raymond Kinsler was still working. He had his studio in Manhattan. I went to his studio. Guy was 94 years old, and he's still painting, doing portraits of presidents and celebrities and stuff like that.
so and this is all in that film, Haunted Thrills?
Yes, they are all interviewed in Haunted Thrills. And it was, to my mind, of the 3 artists that I interviewed, their last interviews, because they've all passed away since then. This was mid 2019.
Well, would you be able to put up on YouTube the uncut interviews?
They're up.
They're already up.
Everett Raymond Kinsler.
I need to go to your channel, man.
And Joe Sinnott, the raw footage.
When was this stuff put up? How long ago?
Oh, not too long ago. Just the raw footage was just uploaded a few months ago, like 2 months. Let's say 2 months ago. So it's relatively new.
Yeah, I gotta get subscribed and check these out.
You might find it entertaining.
I know I will.
The documentary itself is only 25 minutes. So
really?
I compressed. I mean, you see, the way I looked at it, I was like, I could make a 90-minute meandering documentary, about pre-code horror comics. And of course, the budget that I had, which was nothing, I would have had to extend that budget way beyond my means. So I was like, I'm gonna do a concise 25-minute documentary. And so I've got those 3 artists are interviewed. And also, there's a place in New York called Metropolis Collectibles. Vincent Zerzolo, he runs it. He's got a website called Comic Connect.
Is that the same as Metropolis Comics?
Yes, same place. Metropolis Collectibles, Metropolis Comics.
Mm-hmm.
And I interviewed him. I went to the place, to the store in New York. I mean, geez, man, he's got Weird Mysteries #4, the Bernard Bailey cover of the skull with the sword in it and the ant creature. It's like with the human face. He's got the original art hanging in his office. I was just stunned. Oh, there it is. There it is.
Where?
There's Haunted Thrills.
Oh yeah.
Is the documentary. Witch Tales is a film that it's a horror film and anthology that I shot in Peru.
What is it?
So,
Oh, that's
but
all right.
if you scroll down all the way, you'll see the latest. Like this is my little video on PS Art
Look at
Books,
that. Look at that. Look at
horror
that.
reprints,
You know, this one,
all kinds of stuff.
that one, I always thought that was that episode on the Outer Limits, the Zanti Misfits, was inspired by that comic book that was just.
Yes, I totally think that. Yeah, you're in the opposite. Yeah, definitely the Outer Limits was inspired by Bernard Bailey.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah. There's no doubt about it, man.
I always thought that.
But there you go. It's I'm a total pre-code horror nut. I mean, my obsession with pre-code horror comics was years before this documentary. And after I made the film that I made, Witch Tales, is based upon 3 pre-code horror stories. One's from Chamber of Chills, of course, the Harvey, one's from Haunted Thrills, which is one of my favorite lines, which is why I called it Haunted Thrills, because I just love those comic books. Oh my God, those covers,
Yeah.
I mean, wow.
I have some of those. The one with the glass, the woman has a champagne glass, I think, or whatever.
Yeah, Chamber of Chills.
Yeah. Oh, was that Chamber of Chills?
That's Chamber of Chills. Yeah,
right.
Actually, even there was a rock group called the Misfits that used that cover. They used that cover. Oh, there you go. Yeah, well, there it is, the first. As far as the
I got that
style. Too. Man, you got a lot of stuff.
I got 2 copies.
I do not.
I have 2 copies of this one.
Wow. Adventures into the Unknown had some really great, especially in the beginning, like the first 10 or 12 issues with those great covers. I forget that artist, but amazing. Of course, then L.B. Cole.
Or Bob Powell. There was another
Bob
one.
Powell. My God, Basil Wolverton. Lee Elias that did so many of those covers for Harvey.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
A lot of their stuff was better, in my opinion, than the EC.
Oh, totally. Yeah. There was, to me, let's put it this way. EC had like some of the greatest artists.
Yeah,
there's no doubt about it. There's absolutely no doubt. But there were some other artists that were working for the other comics that I think were as good or better.
Yeah.
It just depends on what you're into as well. It's like, I mean, for me, I like L.B. Cole is hard to beat. That guy was just stunning. Stunning, those covers. And, I was at the MegaCon in Orlando this last May. And I ran into this dealer in the dealer's room, and he had, I mean, you know how it goes, man. At these big conventions, the comic books are, in my opinion, overpriced to make up for the fact that they're paying thousands of dollars to rent out the space,
right? Yeah,
and all that. Mm-hmm. But he had an 8.0 of Ghostly Weird, and it was CGC, it was slabbed and all that stuff, and it was the L.B. Cole cover of the zombie walking in the water, like he's walking through, and it's just, I was looking at it, because I had not seen one ever up close, and I was just looking at it, and wow, man, it just, the art, like I think we're talking high art. Seriously,
when you're holding that, when you're up close and you're holding it, and it's right there in your hand, or you're seeing it right in front of you, the real thing, it's just amazing,
It is. It absolutely is. That it's just hard to believe, and I mean, and it is a true thing, and it holds today. I do believe that, as with films, if you go to, like, for instance, rent a movie. Or, well, we used to do that. I guess we don't do that anymore.
But, right. That's another thing that's gone.
Right. But it's the attraction, 50% of the attraction is the cover. all
Right.
the time.
Yeah.
If it's a
Yeah.
comic book, if it's a video cover or film or whatever, man, if the cover doesn't grab you, forget it. It's just not gonna. You're not really gonna be that
Yeah.
enthusiastic about
Yep.
it.
Yep.
And that's something that to me there were. It was a weird period after the pre-code. You guys know it. You guys have a lot of Silver Age, like when going late 50s into the 60s with Charlton and stuff, and the fact that, of course, they immediately figured out, hey, let's just put the stuff in magazine form, where then we're not subject to the Comics Code Authority,
Right.
and that was uh, early to mid 60s with who was the guy? Myron Foss. Myron Foss, of course, who was also an artist in the 50s doing pre-code, but of course he started Erie Publications.
Yeah.
Right.
And this is weird right there. That is one of the, and you guys know the story behind Erie, right? Have you ever heard that story between the fight between Myron Foss and James Warren of Warren Publications?
No, what was
The
that?
Okay, here's what happened. They were the name Erie. It was just one of those things that was coming together very quickly. Both of them wanted to use Erie for the name of the magazine, Erie Magazine. So what happened is that James Warren beat him to the punch, and they released an ash can cover.
Yeah.
And you've seen that black and white, right, of the Erie #1. You can still find them. They're kind of pricey. But he did the black and white. He released it quickly. That gave them the Erie title. So Myron Foss simply said, "Okay, screw it. I'm going to call my company Erie Publications." And there you go. There's the fine, weird, and those insane covers. I just love that stuff. And when I started buying those, back in the 70s, going into the 80s, I didn't realize those stories. There he is, Myron Foss. I didn't realize that those were reprints of pre-code horror stories. When I was a
Yeah.
teenager, I was just like, "Oh, these are interesting." Where's and I'd be like, "Wow, that cover's really gory. Why isn't that in?" There's no story connecting it on the inside because, of course, they just had these artists do these outlandish covers for like this, which would never show up in any stories inside the magazine because they were just
Gory and gruesome, and I love it. I think Gratsu
yeah.
refers to these as the sleazy books from the sleazy stories.
Sleazy books, yeah.
But I love it. I love the sleaze.
Oh man,
Just look at that artwork there.
it's just
Look at the eyeball popping out of the head. Who would want that?
Yeah. It reminds me of carnivals and the art on the side of the dark rides.
totally.
Where on your page is the uncut interviews with the
Oh, it's
artists?
there. Let me hold on one second. Let me just because I know it's back a little ways, at least a few months. Let's check it out.
Okay.
If you go to the bottom, I can tell. Oh shoot! I got it. Yeah, you got to actually go to the top to the videos.
Oh.
Where it says videos.
Okay.
Click down, and then you will see Joe Sinnott and Everett Raymond Kinsler, Haunted Thrills Video Archive.
Okay. I'm just so overwhelmed by all the art that it's just hard to even. It's just so amazing. There we go.
There's Joe Sinnott.
But you spent more longer than 2 minutes talking to him, though.
Oh yeah, the guy spent an hour and a half talking to him.
Is there the whole hour and a half anywhere on here?
Yeah, it's all well. Yeah, if you look through the videos there,
you got to keep looking.
One is 2 minutes, one's 10 minutes, one's 10 minutes, and this is raw. But here's the thing. Yeah, you see that? So that adds up to like 22 minutes. But I'm only talking recorded time. Now I spoke to him. We were talking for a good hour and a half. I recorded about 30 minutes of actual video. So
I see.
you get X amount of minutes in Haunted Thrills, then this is the rest of it here, which adds up to about 22, 24 minutes, something like that.
Okay.
So then, of course, if you go further, you'll see Haunted Thrills Video Archive, Everett Raymond Kinsler. Now, his adds up to about, God, it's about 40 minutes. 40 minutes on here in 3 parts, right? And that stuff, to me, that stuff, it's some of my favorite. There's Vincent Zerzolo from Metropolis Collectibles.
Yeah.
And, just
didn't he get screwed on Batman #1? He bought it and said pay something like $10,000 for it, years ago, and it turned out to be trimmed.
He may have. I've not heard that story.
Yeah,
that this guy gets. I mean, it was like really weird being in that store, because I thought if anybody was thinking about knocking off a comic book shop or a location, it'd be that one, because you just millions of dollars. He had an Action Comics #1 8.0 on his wall. I mean, geez Louise, man. I was just like, whoa. The amount of original art hanging. He had just literally walls this is like a showroom kind of thing, right? And it's just hard to fathom.
You better hope he never has any riots down there and he gets looted.
He must have some amazing security. I would say that probably the security.
Yeah, he would have to.
Looters wouldn't know what to do with that. They wouldn't know where to fence it, or I don't think.
Yeah, I don't know. That, and I'm sure that it's got, because when I arrived there, I had to enter the building and go through. Of course, there's somebody down at the bottom. Then there's like an elevator. You take the elevator up. Then there's like a door. You got to buzz in and stuff. You know what I'm saying? There is security and so forth. And so I don't know. I'd imagine that they've got that whole thing wired. I would have that thing. I would have it wired like Fort Knox. If I had the stuff this guy has, I mean,
yeah.
Jeez Louise, man.
I got a friend of mine who owns a comic shop, and he's got a lot of older Golden Age books up on his wall too. And I often think, that he has an alarm system in there, but the way it's out back, somebody can, just undo it. Somebody really wants to break in there. I wouldn't want to leave him. I wouldn't want to leave him there. I might want to take him off, have a vault, and put him into a vault.
And put him in the vault. Yeah, that's exactly that's probably what I'd do. Every night, just take him down, put him in the vault, and then, I mean, I would be completely paranoid. It's like
I wouldn't be able to sleep.
I might even take him home with me and put him right next to my bed, and so I can stare at them while I'm sleeping. But it's just, it was an amazing shooting. That documentary was an amazing period of time, and it just I'd never made a documentary film before. It was just I was just like, man, I'm doing it. I got to do it, and I got it. This is 2019, and as I was saying, I had to do it at that time because I knew all of these guys were in their 90s. And the time
knew
was
the
running
pandemic
out.
was coming too.
That was really, it was a freaky thing because I ended up moving back to the United States at the end of December 2019. So I got back here, and suddenly, in March of 2020, everything was shut down. You couldn't even get mail into Peru or out of Peru. It was completely locked down. So, forget flights. There was nothing. So I would have been stuck there indefinitely if I had not, by just pure luck, had thought, well, it's time to go back to the United States. So that was it. But crazy, and of course, I encountered some comic book dealers in Peru, in Lima. They, of course, as you guys are aware, there are plenty of like Mexican kind of quote unquote reprints of the pre-code horror. They would call them like Black Cat magazine is El Gato Negro, stuff
Right.
like that. And I found them in people selling them in Lima, as well as of course Spanish versions of famous monsters,
Oh,
uh, all kinds of stuff like that. Just the
They were
various.
all reprints.
Okay, one of two things. They were either the official Spanish language, versions of, for instance, famous monsters,
Uh-huh.
or they were bootlegs.
Hmm.
One of the two.
What about
And
what about the covers on them?
they used the same covers.
They
They were
use
they used the same, all in Spanish. So it'd be like monstruos famosos. It was great, man. I mean, so I've got a few of those. Of course, I had to. I was just like, man, this is just
Yeah.
totally cool.
I would have too. Yeah.
man, you should come on Wednesday nights on Graphic Man show.
Yeah, look, I would love to. I've got stuff. To tell you guys, one thing is that recently, like over the last year, I've been like on a major Dave Stevens craze. I consider Dave Stevens just one of the greatest artists in comics that ever lived. And I think the only reason why he never obtained the highest stature was that he died too soon.
Yeah, he died.
The guy died young, man,
Yeah.
in 2008.
And he was creating this wonderful art that belonged in the golden age while everyone was excited about Image Comics and Rob
Right.
Liefeld and
Yeah, I
these
fell in love with
ridiculous.
Dave Stevens, and his work, and then I was like in shock when he died. I just,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
said,
And,
wow.
back in the day, I bought those Pacific, the Pacific Rocketeer comics and
Mhm.
Eclipse. Eclipse also had some of those.
Yeah.
And I always loved the stuff. I was like, wow, this is really great. And I never thought about it, and I never really followed him. And I did not realize he died in 2008,
Yeah.
of this. It's some kind of sickle cell.
Yeah, it was a cancer, I think.
It was a cancer. Yeah. Yeah. It's in a kind of a rare one at that.
Yeah.
But over the last year, like I've seen people have been talking about Rocketeer, and I believe that somebody like Netflix or Disney or somebody is bringing it back.
Yeah, I think Disney is. Yeah, so it'll be terrible.
I know. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
and I think
You
you're
gotta
right.
have some faith.
Considering the current state of Disney, I don't have high hopes.
Well,
But
Yeah.
I just watched the Disney, the '90s Rocketeer.
right.
I really loved that film. I
Yeah.
think they really did an awesome job with the period piece, even though they of course, they Disneyfied Dave Stevens' work by making the heroine, of course, like an aspiring movie star as opposed to the cheesecake, photo model that she was in the comics, which I loved
Well, that
more.
was Betty Page. He based it on Betty Page.
It was Betty Page,
Yeah.
absolutely. So they changed that to bring in more of a like younger audience and stuff like that. But the feel of the movie, this was when Disney, I think this was in the '90s, was Disney's last gasp as a really good studio for making films. There were several came out that were really quite good. Then they just got woke. I mean, that's all that after 2010 they lost their shit.
Well, this guy took over. I think he's in prison now, but he must have put a lot of people in major positions at Disney. So it's just too entrenched. It's like the government. It's just like it's infested
right.
with all these people making these incredibly dumb decisions. They've ruined
man.
Star Wars. Those Marvel movies. Well, that first Captain America was directed by the guy that did The Rocketeer. The Winter Soldier was a great movie, and then all of a sudden, it's just in the last few years they've just started with Captain Marvel, and then it just it gets
yeah.
worse and worse, and they're making
Right.
monumental mistakes. And I'm hearing bad things now about the Thor movie coming out in a few days.
Oh man. Well, I've seen some like trailers. Yikes. I mean, come on, man. It looked really.
Hi, Eric. How you doing?
Eric.
So
Hello,
doing
Eric.
all right, Mike. Nice to meet you.
A pleasure to meet you, Eric.
I would have come on earlier, but I was really fascinated by what you were talking about. So I figured they don't need to hear from me. So I decided watching, and I subbed to your channel, which
thank you.
If you've got a common name, you're welcome. If you got a common name, YouTube's algorithms are awful. I found you by typing in Haunted Thrills.
That's it.
But I couldn't find Horror Mike. Didn't work.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Now, keep in mind, I had to call a fellow YouTuber to come onto the stream, take the link, and send it to me on Twitter. I'm not a smart man, but still, it shouldn't. If your name is Horror Mike and you type in Horror Mike, that should be enough.
Well, when I'm talking to people at conventions or whatever, because I've gone to a few film festivals and a few conventions, they showed it at MegaCon in Orlando,
Nice.
and I just tell people, they're like, "Well, how can I find your channel?" And I just tell them, look up Haunted Thrills. It's gonna come right up. You can't lose. That's definitely the best way to go.
And they said this channel doesn't have any content. I go, well, that doesn't sound right either. So once I got on there, I clicked on, and your list of videos starts popping up, and I saw the one on PS Art Books, and I have about 50 something of those. So I said, I'm going to be spending some time here.
Thank you. Yeah, I subscribed to your channel last night.
Matter
of fact, coincidentally enough, I was looking through you guys. Like, I checked out your videos, Gratu and Captain Strangelife last night. You posted a few new ones.
Yeah.
So I was watching those, and I was like, what about those other guys from Graphic Man? And I saw Eric's channel, so I subscribed to him and a few others. There's another guy, Jambo.
Jambo.
Yep.
Yeah, he's great.
So
he collects the really great stuff.
I've spent so much time with Gratu and Strangelife this weekend. It felt like I was on a family outing with them. Now, after watching them, whereas I appreciate the sub, I gotta ask, why, man?
Your channel's cool.
In which capacity?
Mine.
Why? Oh no, because you're great. You're great. Very, very well done. I think all you guys really do a great job. There are various levels, like of when you're watching, and God, so many comics channels are these guys just showing slab comics and telling you how much they're worth. Yeah, and it just bores me. It seriously bores me, and I don't. I mean, that's an aspect to comic collecting that is, I guess it's valid, but it just doesn't do a lot for me. If that's all you're doing, it's like, here's my new box of CGC slab comics.
Yeah, because they don't have any emotional connection with the comics. These are things they've acquired. It's like showing their stock certificates.
That's no nostalgic connection at all.
Yeah, and a lot of these guys are like 30 years old.
Yeah.
They don't really connect with, like pre-code or like 60s, 70s. I'm a child of the 70s and definitely the 70s and 80s are that's like when I grew up, and I totally was absorbed in that era. And thank God. It was just like a fantastic era. There's no doubt about it. I was living in California, throughout most of that time, and it's just something that you just feel bad for people that are like 20 or 30 years old that were barely born in the late 90s or something, because God, man, I mean, it's the frontiers have been
changed a lot. Now, even the malls in the 80s were a great place to hang out for kids, and get together. in the 80s, but now you can't go into a mall without being shot.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
that's one thing that I think you guys might agree with me on is that all of that stuff, I don't even do it anymore anyways. I don't care.
I
I,
don't
I,
know.
I don't do as many conventions or film festivals as I used to, and that's fine. I've already gone through a lot of that stuff, and it doesn't interest me as much. I mean, look, I'm just about to be 60, so
Hmm.
I my thing is like I like I don't know. I read a lot. I
Yeah.
do. I edit a lot of videos, as you will see if you watch some of the videos. I do. I put out a new one every Saturday. That's basically it, and typically revolving around comic books. And right now I'm on this reprint kick. Like the next video I do is going to be on IDW, their pre-code reprints of which they put out a
Yeah.
ton, and stuff like that. And I what really has fascinated me, like recently, especially are like the '80s comics, and getting back to Rocketeer. We were just talking about Disney doing Rocketeer again. And the thing about Rocketeer is that to me, it was absolute Americana
Yeah.
personified.
Yeah.
Dave Stevens just put up a huge American flag. I mean, and not in a political, like insane way or whatever. He just put up a big American flag and he had a Rocketeer flying right across it. That was that was his love letter to this country, to America.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they what would they do? What would Disney do now? I mean, they hate America. I don't think they really like it at all.
Well, since we know we're going to be disappointed by that, if you
yeah.
want some Rocketeer that won't disappoint you, there's a series that came out a couple months ago, and I believe it's from IDW. But the guy doing it is named Stephen Mooney. His specialty is a noir type feel. He did a series called Half Past Danger that involved time travel, dinosaurs, stuff like that. He's very not a trace of woke, and
Oh, cool.
the artist is doing his best to not insult Dave Stevens, and it's doing a good job. Well, he's doing the art. Steve Moody's doing the writing and the art. And the back of the book has about 8 pages of text going into the history of the character and different things from different eras. And Dave Stevens is getting a lot of attention paid to him in the text in the back of the book. So it's
And it's called Half Past Danger.
well, that's the series he made about 6 or 7 years ago. The
Oh,
Rocketeer series is out now.
okay. Do
And
you know? Yeah, because they have like a Hollywood horror, and they have like the Great Race and Cargo of Doom. I know those are three kind of more recent Rocketeer series.
yeah, I don't know. I can't remember what this one's called because there's a lot of mush up here. But I pay so little attention to new comics that I recommend about 3 or 4 a year. Actually, one and that might be overstating it because Gratu was doing a video the other night. And he showed a Freedom Fighters, and that just happened to be by the best writer currently working, a guy named Robert Venditti, who did a Hawkman series that was the best in that character's history. In the Freedom Fighters, that's the best Freedom Fighters story ever told, and I love the one from the 70s. But
Cool.
this because I said it's not, he's not woke. He's a phenomenal. He's a great writer because DC won't let him write anything important. That's how you
You're
can
right.
tell nowadays who's good. But yeah, so I said I recommend the Rocketeer. It's I you'd enjoy it.
She's still drawn to look like Betty Page.
Yes.
That's good. That's really. As a matter of fact, I was just trying to find. There is an issue that's going to come out at the end of this month. A new Rocketeer issue. I happened to see it on eBay, and it was on pre-sale, so I bought one because it's fantastic. It's like the Rocketeer. He's like he's jetting off, into the sky, and there's a huge waving American flag behind him.
Yeah, I was
And
pretty
I was
sure.
like, you don't see that a lot, do you? You know, I mean, there you go, right there. That's fantastic.
It was so cool that he was. No one knew if Betty Page was alive or what had happened to her, and he put her in the comic.
Yeah.
And then,
That's part of it right there.
That's
this
the most recent issue.
Oh,
and Greg
great.
Theakston
I know
started
which one.
doing this magazine, and then eventually
Yes.
they found Dave Stevens and Greg Theakston found her, and she was able to. The last few years of her life, she was able to be a somewhat big star and sign
Yes.
autographs. So
Well-
she was able to be appreciated in her later years because of
Absolutely.
Dave Stevens.
And not only that, but Dave Stevens made sure she got paid
Yeah.
for all of the rights. I mean, the people that were exploiting her photos, and
Yeah.
he was going down. He was going down the list, and he was
That's
like,
great.
"You need to compensate Betty Page." So she made thousands in
That's
compensation
great.
based upon his work, just doing that because
Yeah, they took advantage of the fact that I think she was suffering from bipolar conditions and other
Yes.
things, and they probably took advantage of all this. You know, she
totally. Yes, Dave Stevens was a mensch.
Yeah,
he was absolutely one of the good guys.
Yeah.
You know, and his art is insanely. It's just like I just keep finding like some new, sketch or cover that he did for something, and I'm just like, whoa, this guy was. Well, he was in his prime. He had already like when he started putting out Rocketeer in the '80s, he was already awesome.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. He just kept going and going, and
I love this artwork. And the other guy too, Schultz from Cadillac and Dinosaurs with the White Tails.
Right.
He's another artist that I like a lot.
Yeah. And there were some artists right in that era, like William Stout.
Bill Ray
another guy. Yeah, there we go. Fantastic. What was that issue, Bronson?
That's the second issue.
Oh, wow. Betty Page's, right.
Beauty.
That's a great cover. But you had all of these guys, and you know how that kind of works. Yeah, there we go.
I'm sorry to be interrupted.
No. I love seeing these man. I haven't seen some of these covers that you're showing for the Betty Page.
I had to drive 45 minutes to buy these magazines when they came out because some comic store on the other side of Dallas, because I lived in Arlington, to get these. One time the engine burned up on the way back from getting one of these Betty Page's comics, and it was like huge billows of smoke. Because this was what kept me going in that time period. Here's Dave Stevens' cover on Movie Star News catalog.
Oh, that's
Movie Star
lovely.
News.
Star News, huh?
Movie Star News is Irving Klaw's company that took pictures of her in bondage in the 50s, and his wife was still running the company.
Whoa.
And selling these pictures and video VHSs of her films, 8mm films they shot. And so he did that was also a t-shirt.
Oh, that's fantastic.
I used to have that t-shirt. I actually used to wear it around. And I realized I was probably pissing off a lot of people. There was a Rocketeer shirt Dave Stevens was embarrassed about drawing. And I used to have that shirt and I used to wear it. I didn't even really think about it. Yeah. Rocketeer had Betty over his shoulder and you could see her panties, and it was like a heart shape. Her butt was in the crotch area made kind of a heart shape. And yes. he was like, I can't believe I drew that. It was put on t-shirts. And I was wearing that t-shirt around just like in my 20s, not realizing it was probably horrifying to people I walked by in the mall.
Yeah, that shirt is all over eBay. If you look for Dave Stevens t-shirt, that sucker pops up. People are selling it, could be bootleg. I have no idea. It's so tough to tell with t-shirts and so forth. I mean, I don't know. But it is a cool freaking T-shirt. There's
Yeah.
no doubt about it,
But,
man.
but
Yeah.
Dave Stevens and Darwin Cook and Mike Allred, and there's a few other artists, but all the artists that I love from that time period drew like old timey artists. So
Yes.
all the new stuff I was buying looked like old stuff, and I wasn't. And then I was also buying the old stuff, but I'd still go into comic stores all the time and just hope. Just like I'll turn on the radio occasionally, thinking maybe there'll be a good new song. But where I moved, they don't play anything on the radio that was made after 1985. I walk
Yeah.
down the street and I see on the glass of the front door of a store, it still has the sticker that says Master Charge instead of MasterCard. Which, what did that change in 1975 or something?
Damn.
It's like
Jesus.
it's a total time warp. Captain Strangelife came and visited, and his cell phone didn't work here. It's like the Twilight Zone. Cell phones don't work here.
Wow.
Time is standing still. So I don't worry about riots. That's one good thing. Bad thing is there's no comics. Well, I guess if I went to Des Moines, it's an hour and 15 minutes, but I just put $79 worth of gas in my car, and now like, well, we should go to Des Moines. It's like, no, I can't afford
gas is so expensive, man. I'm paying like almost $6 now a gallon.
Wow. I'm here in Florida. It's about $4.60 a gallon, so it's a little cheaper. But considering it was like $2, I mean, shit. It's just I get if you can imagine. I mean, my business is online. I have websites. I buy and sell stuff. So that's my business. So I don't really drive a lot. But if I can imagine people that commute, like let's say they commute 50 miles a day, 25 miles there and back, which isn't huge, but now horrible. It's like horrible.
And I don't think I've gassed up in a month and a half, because when we drive to the restaurant, it's a block away. Everywhere we go we can get there in 2 minutes, or I can just walk there. Gas is about the same here. I think $4.59.
This guy John Goras is saying,
huh?
He's saying John Goras.
I'm not looking at the stuff.
Ever see the Betty Page picture with the Wolfman? It's pretty crazy.
Oh, that's not real.
Yeah, that's cool. That's photoshopped, I think.
Yeah, someone photoshopped the picture of Betty Page and the Wolfman.
The
Wolfman is grabbing her butt.
Grabbing her bottom. Yeah.
It's great, but it's not. No, they're not. When the Wolfman movie came out, Betty Page was probably in like 7th, 8th grade, and she wouldn't have been on the set of a Universal horror movie. Hope not, but who knows how those Hollywood people.
I got a few.
Learned about them lately.
But
apparently, it's always been that way in Hollywood. I was listening to. It's fascinating. Ricky Nelson, one of Ricky Nelson's sons, that had long hair. They were the teeny bopper idols about, I don't know, in the 90s, I guess. They were called Nelson or something.
Oh, geez. Yeah.
They were, one of them was on this show talking about how his dad, Rick Nelson, and his mom bought Errol Flynn's house about in the 80s. And because he always had heard about it from his parents, the big band leader and everything, that this was a cool place. So he wanted Errol Flynn's house, and the mom liked to fix up old places, but their marriage fell apart. Apparently she was absolutely crazy, the woman that Ricky Nelson wound up marrying. So they divorced, and he was telling about the malevolent feeling you had in that house, and the house has been is no longer there now. But he was talking about how there was a trap door under the bar, and you could crawl through this tunnel, and then you'd be looking up at where the women were, some sauna. You would be looking up from under at them.
Whoa!
And that the bedroom where their band used to practice, which was Errol Flynn's bedroom. There were steps that went up on the outside and took you to the attic, and there were mirrors over the bed. And then one of the panels of the mirror was a two-way, so you could go up there and watch whoever was in that bed doing whatever.
Boy, Errol Flynn must have been a pervy. Man.
Oh, Errol Flynn. I've got his book here somewhere.
There's no doubt. You guys, there's
like
no
Chuck
doubt.
Berry.
Look at this book. It's My Wicked, Wicked Ways. Look how thick this book is for a paperback, and it's tiny print.
Oh my God!
It takes that much space in this book.
Well, in that movie, in the Rocketeer movie, the Disney movie, wasn't the Neville, the actor, the bad guy? He was patterned after Errol Flynn, wasn't he? Well, he was the swashbuckling actor. That,
Yeah,
you know, and this was in the it was in the late 30s where it took place.
Yeah, and they
And
had
they had a little bit of an Errol Flynn look, yeah.
They totally, yeah.
But
And I was like, yeah. And wasn't there a thing about Errol Flynn being a spy for the Nazis?
Yeah, that's
that's what he is in Rocketeer.
Yeah,
freaking, so I thought, well.
And what is the name of that actor? Oh man, why am I drawing a blank? With the big or the chromojoly, the big Rondo Hatton.
Rondo
Hatton, guy that had fake makeup to look like Rondo Hatton.
Yeah, wasn't that cool?
Yeah.
Man, they just did it perfectly. They really did that film, with the exception of the Betty Page change, which it would have been so much better with Betty Page in there.
Yeah, my favorite year is a forgotten movie from the early '80s, where it's supposed to be, it's thinly veiled. It's supposed to be a young Mel Brooks. It's one of the writers on Sid Caesar's Your Show of Shows, and Errol Flynn is this old drunken guy that comes on as the guest star, and this young Mel Brooks type character has to manage this guy, and it's a great movie.
Yeah, Peter O'Toole.
Forgotten, like Diner, and I can't find Time After Time. I want to show my wife the movie about H.G. Wells and Jack the Ripper.
Yeah,
How do I find that movie?
Well, I use, like, when I'm watching TV, I use Roku.
We have we searched it, but it wasn't available anywhere.
Whoa.
I might have it on DVD and don't even realize it. I've got so many movies.
That's a great film. But yeah, my favorite year, Peter O'Toole.
Yeah.
And that was an awesome film. I saw it in the theater when it came out.
Yeah.
And that was just one of the, and that was really a great time for cinema too.
It was.
We're talking like early 80s, right?
Yeah.
All of that whole period, like late 70s going into the 80s, was insane for great films. You had, of course, Alien, Dawn of the Dead, Blade Runner. My favorite year. I mean, you could go down the list. There was just.
And then the summer of '82 had Raiders of the Lost Ark and
Raiders of the Lost Ark. Yeah.
But you mentioned Diner, fantastic movie. That's
Diner.
That's my brother's all-time favorite movie, and it's way up on my list also.
Mickey Rourke. Mickey Rourke.
Mickey Rourke.
Yeah, there's so many guys. Daniel Stern.
Yeah,
Kevin Bacon. The guy from the other guy from Wings, not Steven Weber, the guy that was Superman's voice in the cartoons.
Was
Ellen Barkin was in it.
Did you see Ellen Barkin at the Johnny Depp trial?
Wasn't Sylvester Stallone in that?
No.
What movie was Sylvester Stallone in that had to do with the 50s, like the
Lords of Flatbush?
That's it.
Lords of Flatbush.
The guy that was making sure he got to punch everybody on the team that spiked him in that game. That's the guy that was Superman's voice. That was kind of his contribution to the movie. Every time he'd see somebody, he would just go sucker punch him, and one of the other guys would go, "Okay, that's 7. No, it's 8. It's 8."
Superman's voice in the '90s cartoon.
Yeah, some of them.
I was thinking of the guy that did the voice in the '60s Filmation, because he did the voice in the radio series.
What was this guy? He was the star of Wings.
It's a different guy.
What the hell is his name?
Good question.
I couldn't remember Leonardo DiCaprio's name.
I
the
know,
other day in the
I'm
episode.
too lazy to look it up.
That was
Yeah.
kind of funny because that was a period like late 70s into the early 80s of like quote unquote gang films, kind of like The Wanderers and Lords of Flatbush, that kind of thing.
Yeah, there was a
But
nostalgic run of films like that.
yeah, but there was like The Warriors. Remember that film?
Yeah.
That was just one of those. I love that. I think that was like God. That must have been late 70s, 78, 79, maybe.
I think that wave was because of American Graffiti. You know, they had that gang, the Pharaohs, at the
Yes.
end, and I think
Yes.
and then Fonzie was real big in Happy Days.
Yeah.
And
That is
so
true.
I think that's why all those movies started popping up about the leather clad gangs of the 50s.
Yes. Yes.
A
Yeah.
lot of great movies back then. Pretty in Pink with Molly Ringwald. I always liked that movie.
Yeah, there were all the John Hughes,
Daly.
films there, and Weird Science. I love that film. Weird Science with the Oingo Boingo soundtrack. You know,
Wasn't
in
it,
that
that was a TV series, wasn't it?
TV series
it was
was
also a
underrated.
TV
Also,
series.
Yeah.
Yes. You
That's
know,
Vanessa Angel does not have to take a back seat to Kelly LeBrock.
Yeah.
And you can't say that about me.
I love David Warner in that movie that Gratu was talking about, Time After Time.
yeah, Time
Yeah.
After Time is great.
I love that. I
Then
love
there was the
David
Time
Warner.
Bandits. Wasn't David Warner in that too?
The Time Bandits.
He
He was the villain in Time Bandits.
He may
It was
have been. That was some of those Monty Python.
Monty
people, wasn't
Python.
it?
It was, but it wasn't as all out funny as Monty
No,
Python.
no.
It was
Yeah,
more
it was
of
only a couple of the Monty Python guys that were
it's
involved
probably
with
the
that.
American guy,
Yeah.
the cartoon.
Yeah. Terry Gilliam.
Terry
Yeah.
Gilliam.
That's right. But yeah, it was just like and it kind of maybe it kind of happens like that. It's weird sometimes. Like if you look at the late '60s, going into the early '70s, you had yet another it was just almost like a renaissance of great films.
Yeah.
Stanley Kubrick is just kicking it.
Yeah.
2001, Clockwork Orange. You have Rosemary's Baby at the end of the '60s. The Exorcist, the Godfather films start coming out. I mean, just an amazing, another amazing period of time, right? Kind of at the cusp of those decades.
Well, part of the reason why the 70s into the 80s, why it was so creative, was the Hays Code was finally completely irrelevant, and people and filmmakers could you start seeing that throughout the 60s and then amped up into the 70s. As it's kind of like maybe it took filmmakers a few years to realize, oh, we can do this stuff now, and then the floodgates open.
Yeah, and then the young filmmakers came in.
And destroyed everything.
But Gratu, I can't help but think.
Right
Getting back to Diner, there's a scene where Modell's girlfriend has to pass a sports test for the marriage.
Right. That made me think of you.
Well, no, that made me wonder. Did Cleo have to pass a pop culture test to marry you?
No, she already knows about a lot of stuff, but she's not into the comics, and there's some movies that she doesn't like that I just say, how do you not like that movie? And she says, I just don't like it. I don't think it's funny. And it's like, how is that? I just got like National Lampoon's Animal House, which is one of the great movies from that time period we're talking about. How do you not like that movie?
Another one.
But you think about that movie. People love that, and now how you could never release that movie today because
hardly any of the films we're talking about could be released today.
Underage girl. It's basically date R, a word you probably can't say, and it's like she's drunk, passed out in a bed, which is a very serious issue, and they just play it with the little cartoon, like with
the devil and the angel,
like in a Tom and Jerry cartoon. But that's National Lampoon, and the things they did in that magazine were unbelievable. The amount, unbelievable to today, and there's some comedian we're watching him. I can't remember this guy's name. He's so outrageous. He just insults anyone in the audience. What is this guy? Let me ask my wife. It's like I can't believe he's able to do this humor in today's day and age, because now it's impossible to be a stand-up comedian.
Some of these comedians now though are fed up with it, and they're just doing whatever the hell they want.
It's gone so
great.
far.
Yeah.
Everything's gone so far over this last month. I can't believe what I'm seeing on TV. It's unbelievable how far they took it this June, and there's going to be a lot of kids. There's going to be a pendulum swing back the other way, because kids like to rebel against their teachers and their parents.
Right.
And things are so woke that it's got to come back, where something like National Lampoon comes back and people will laugh so fucking hard when they can finally over the. I used to be a teacher, and pronouns were the hardest thing to teach. They didn't grasp the idea of pronouns, and it was the most boring thing for them. Now I imagine
it's like the major part of the curriculum.
I have to teach pronouns next week. And it was so confusing for them, because most of them, English wasn't their first language. But now they've invented hundreds of new pronouns.
Yeah, that's the thing. What my oldest brother, who was he was about 10 years older than me, right? So he left his National Lampoons when he went to college. So I'm like, 11, 12 years old, and I'm getting into those National Lampoons. And that's what got me into science fiction and horror, like art, comics, and so forth, because National Lampoon had people like Bernie Wrightson, a ton of great artists,
Neil Adams, all of the great artists.
Yeah, they were all doing it, and Dave Stevens was also doing underground comics. I don't know if you guys know that.
Yeah,
Andrew Schultz.
You've seen this guy?
Yeah, he's great.
Andrew Schultz. I think I've seen. Is he a Brit?
No.
He's a comedian.
He takes it real far, and I've never. My wife wants to go to the supermarket to get something before it closes at 9, but I can keep the show going if you guys want to keep talking, because it'll just be a blank screen for me, or I can even come on remotely.
You can show us your shopping trip.
I gotta go to get a hat.
You guys have to go. We can go, or you guys can keep talking, and I'll be back before too long. What do you guys want to do?
I'm good either. I just wanted to come on and say hi.
Eric.
I gotta get a hot dog upstairs.
Yeah, it sounds like Hans wants to go eat, and I haven't eaten yet.
Yeah, we all got to.
Mike, you should come on Wednesdays with us. Does
that say sluts?
Yeah,
it does say sluts.
I gotta get a hot dog to go with my sluts.
What, did you fold that over or something? What?
Yeah.
Where did you?
Let me make that bigger.
What the heck?
Hold on, I'm making it bigger.
What is that? Wait, like Spanish or some other
language? No, it's the original. Are you kidding me?
You folded it over. It must have said something else.
It said sleuts.
What the hell is sloot?
What the hell?
Is that a Chicago thing?
Salutes, I think it said.
That is weird.
That's one of those things where someone doesn't know any better, like the Mad cover with the middle finger or something.
Yeah, I read a lot of National Lampoon and it wore off on me, man. I mean, I
don't know.
Well,
that is great.
So, Mike, we need to get
get you on the graphic man.
I'd love to get on it. I mean, I think if you guys, I guess if you talk to Graphic Man and mention it, maybe you can check out my channel and see that I'm legit or just completely insane.
Yeah, you're legit. Do you all he need is your email, and then he'll send you the link in your email. How much is this book worth, just out of curiosity? Is this
that
the one
the actual
talking about?
Is that the actual comic book?
Is that L.B. Cole?
Yeah.
That's L.B. Cole, all right.
Yeah. This is I got this for like $20 years ago.
Are you kidding? Oh my God.
Wow.
I mean, is it complete?
Yeah, it's complete,
What?
I don't know. I don't even have a backing for it. Yeah, it was
You
just
got, you got some spine ticks there. I'll give you $50 for it.
yeah, it's
Hey, I'll give you 60, Gratu.
so seriously,
Avoid.
what is the
We're
price?
having an auction. It's a hot auction.
I would say at the very least a few $100.
Oh my
That's what I
God,
was
dude!
guessing.
If that is a 5-0, that is an easy grand.
Yeah, if it's a 5-0, yeah.
And it looked like it could be.
But
You have to kind
he
of
did have
open
a
it
lot
up.
of spinal damage, though. I think.
Auction it.
What-
Put it on Saturday night's auction. See if you can get close to the record we set this week.
What did
That
you
is-
set?
$2
Those
grand.
things are insane.
You got $2,000 last night or two
No,
nights ago?
Yeah, for Tim Lim donated a Common America, like the rarest of rare prints or whatever. 2 guys got into a bidding war. A third guy came in, and it got up to 2,000.
Yeah,
Wow.
what is that Common
Wow.
America? Common's the Japanese word for mast. I know
It's I wish I knew more about it because it looks like a whole lot of fun.
that. It
Tim
looked
and
like
Mark
a 90s
Pellegrini.
kitty comic.
Well, it's kind of like it's to resemble manga, and these
Oh, okay.
guys, they do not think or vote like the vast majority of today's comic book industry. They did Trump Space Force. You might have heard of that.
Yes, Space Force, of course.
And Tim
No,
Lim is
is
the
there
nicest.
a Space Force comic?
Yeah, it was a one shot.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
And he'll put guys that we know, like I think Anglintine's had a cameo in one of them.
Yeah, they got a ton of people in those.
Yeah,
those cameos.
they are. I mean, Tim's the nicest guy I've ever met in this industry, and he said before the auction, "Do you want to split this? How you want to do this?" He goes, "I don't want anything." He goes, "You've been very nice to me. You've helped me a lot during these years, and I was going to do this for you." And holy crap, we just watched that thing just go up, up, up like the Rolling Stones song.
That's great.
It
That's
shattered
great to
our
see,
record.
man.
See what I did there?
That is fantastic.
It couldn't happen to a nicer guy.
Exactly. It's great to hear stories like that.
I've been thinking of selling my Hulk #1 and doing it on an auction
Wow.
type thing on YouTube, but I don't know.
Well, here's something, you guys, and let me just get back to that weird, ghostly weird that you have, Gratu, and this applies to the Hulk 1 too. If you think, I mean, in the first place, if the cover is not detached from the book, and you can open it up and it's just, it's still attached to the book,
Yeah.
and it looks as good as it looks, I would absolutely, and I don't say this often, but I would do it with something like that or the Hulk. Take it and have it slabbed with CGC.
Mine is. I got mine slab, but it's got a little bit of color touch on the cover. It's got a slight color touch on the cover, so I had to get that purple label. But it's like
right, and what's the rating on it?
I think it's a 5.5 or 6.
Oh my God, that's you. I mean, if you were going to auction that, you'd be looking at some serious money. Yeah, even with the color grading,
you can unload a couple of books and buy a new house and just slowly move your stuff to a safe place.
I hate giving that up, but I'm probably going to have to.
And Gratu, you're definitely, if you have that book, if you take it to CGC, because once you do that, there's no arguing, right?
Yeah.
And you're talking a lot of money. It is definitely north of $1,000.
I'm thinking it's
I
one of
guarantee
the pricier. I don't have a lot of like real important stuff, but I wish I had more 50s horror.
Well, I can tell you, I was just at MegaCon. There was another ghostly weird, the one that with the as I was telling you, that zombie walking in the water. That the guy had a 7.0 CGC, right? And 7.0 is high grade for a pre-code horror comic. $8,000. I
saw some kid on yesterday.
$8,000, man.
Some kid on YouTube yesterday. I mean, it's not his fault that he's a kid, but he wanted auction all these 50s horror comics. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. You may have seen this video. I'll try to find it. It's just they were like in some crate and they were at some hick auction and they were auctioning off all of this stuff.
Wait a second. Is that an older video?
It could be. I wonder if it's in my history. I might have been watching it on my wife's YouTube downstairs. But
I saw this video where it was literally in a kind of a smallish room. They had the comics, pre-code comics in boxes, and they were just laying them out on the table.
they were on a table, and there were like 3 or 4 comics in a plastic bag, like a sandwich bag. And he was I guess he won several of these sandwich bags. He was taking them out. They were in perfect, most of them, condition.
And he got
the
it really
pages
cheap,
were
right?
white.
Oh my God!
Do you know this video?
I must. It must be the one I'm talking about, because he was like paying incredibly low amounts of money.
He never really told what he paid, but he looked like he wasn't even 30 years old, and thinking, boy, I wish I could. But I think he said it was $30,000 worth of comics or something. I don't know. And it might have been. It was like the first real early Atlas horror. And
Sure. Oh yeah, man. And also, it's the condition on a lot of these.
Right.
The one you just showed me. To me, I would call that, just by looking at it, kind of like almost pushing a mid grade.
Yeah.
I mean, I would call that like a 4.5, just looking at it.
And he traded them all for Spawns and Venoms.
Spawns and Venoms.
Well, this kid was talking about selling some of them and keeping some. There was. I remember they had the Venus cover where the guy's got his face tilted up and the skull underneath. I think it was the last issue of Venus. This was one of the comics.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, look, it once again. You see, with a lot of those Atlas comics, if they're in the lower grade, like 2 or 3 or whatever, you can pick them up all day long for between $100 and $150.
Really?
So they're not really, but once they get higher grade, like a lot of other, God, when you're looking at like weird mysteries, the Stanley Morris comics with the Bernard Bailey covers, holy Toledo, higher grade, those are thousands of dollars.
I just like the staples to be attached, and the pages aren't like falling apart as you touch them. I'd be happy with good. I don't all these 9.0. I just remember when they were just called good, very good, fine. I'd be happy with just very good comics, but I can't.
Check this out real quick, guys. Now this is that suspense, right? I just took it out. Here it is. Now the main problem with this comic is that it has spine roll, because it is a 52 page. It's one of those 52 pagers, right? So you get the spine roll action. Let me bring it in. There you go.
Yeah.
But look, check it out. I'm just flipping through it. These pages are nearly white, and they're totally, I mean, no brittle. It's totally
very supple pages.
Very supple pages. I mean, just like kind of flip through them.
Yeah.
No problem. So it is in fantastic shape, other than the spine roll. So I don't know. He marked it at a 3.0, and I think the spine roll really brings it down. It's got a couple of little tears.
You can get that pressed out, though, right?
You can.
Yeah.
You can. I think you can get a bit of that pressed out. But so if you're looking at that, your ghostly weird there, Gratu, and it's kind of like that, and you can open it up and kind of read it without worry, then you are in. I mean, I would CGC that thing in a second. It looked really good to me. Anyway,
well, if it's ever sold, it'll be my wife after I pass on. I'm not going to, but I need her to know that there's some stuff of value here, and I think she knows that. But
that is definitely one of them.
Well, I would say if you don't want to find all that stuff out in the sidewalk tomorrow morning, you might want to take it to the grocery now.
Oh yeah. Well, we still have an hour, but I was chuckling because I was thinking of the 4-Color Fossils show. You put up a copy of Suspense, and then it sounds like these old guys in a strip club. It's like, oh yeah, baby, oh yeah. in the background.
Yeah.
The cartoon eyeballs and the horn.
Charlton 66 says he's always going, yeah,
Charlton
man.
66
Yeah,
does
man.
that a lot,
It sounds like the
check it out.
beginning of
I've got
Faster
this- I've got
Pussycat, Kill,
copy of
the
it.
Go-Go Girls. And I started,
very
this is in my head. I'm even doing it on my show now. I can't get that, yeah, man, out of my,
Hey,
I'm
check
saying
it
it
out.
all the time, like a
I got this
meditation.
copy of Suspense
Like,
3. Yeah.
It's like I've become like autistic, and I just walk around going, yeah, man, all the time. Because of the Full Color Fossil show. And the other night, my wife was telling me this story about some horrible stuff that happened to her 30 years ago. And I go, and I just went, yeah, man. She's about to kill me because I can't stop going, yeah, man, like I'm some like bebop and beatnik.
Well, you know,
And I blame the Four Color Fossils.
Ratu, the one thing about that, like for instance, that one that you just showed, the ghostly weird. If you don't CGC it or slab it, what you might want to do, you know, I've got top loaders for Golden Age comics, and they're really stiff, and so you just simply take the already bagged comic and slide it in that top loader, and it provides so much more protection.
I need to do that.
Yeah, those things are work like a charm, and that's what I did with mine. I didn't CGC any. I've never CGC'd a comic book in my life. I've never done it. You know, I've done the top loaders to protect ones that were valuable, and that was it. You know, that's all I've done. I might end up doing a little, but I hear some really shady things about CGC and
I've heard that. I've heard people finding bugs inside the plastic.
Oh man,
I think I've heard stories on Captain's channel about it.
They press books and then they tear part of the cover off, and then they send it back like that with a low grade. And
whoa,
that's or you find a little eyelash or a pubic hair inside the plastic.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
It's just,
I remember when Mike from Castle Hills, he was pissed off because he got a graded book back and it had a hair in it.
And it's in the comments.
It's
in the comments on top. Spine roll and pubic hair. Oh Jesus!
Hey, that comment on that video you said, Gratu. The video, was that the last video that I did, or the one before that? Because I can't find it.
What do you
mean?
That
left that comment on my video?
That was on the one before from like 2 nights ago.
Oh, okay. I'll check it out. I didn't find it on my phone. I'll go on
it's like
and check it out.
Fuck your politics in your shitty basement. You need to like print that out and frame it.
Oh, that'd be grert. Yeah, that's good.
I would do that. I can't find it though. It's not on my phone, so I don't know.
It was one. I'm not going to subscribe to you.
Yeah, it's possible that YouTube pulled it. So
it's still there. I saw it.
Oh, yeah. Because I looked for it. I must have looked to check the wrong video.
But I wouldn't be surprised if he's the guy that went and tattled to YouTube that caused that video to not be monetized. Yeah. Or YouTube screens to the comments to look for keywords. It's like, oh, someone was offended. We better be careful.
Yeah, sure.
So I think he may have done that.
Yeah,
I'm having a Subaru during a YouTube video, and I'm getting ads on YouTube for Subarus. So that means they're listening to every single word or whatever is really runs YouTube, probably the NSA.
Well, you know, I was just gonna. There are a lot of people that flag other people for that reason.
They can flag you.
Yeah, of course.
They're such pussies.
It's pathetic, right? I mean, it's just kind of like, God, get a life, do something. You know, I mean, it's incredible.
There's the Graphic Man.
Yeah, Graphic Man's in the chat. So what you've got to do is get your email to Graphic Man. Graphic Man, Horror Mike needs to be a new 4-color fossil.
I prefer.
Amazing. Well, he's not really quite fossilized yet.
I'm getting there.
He's getting there.
Quickly.
Eric Breen looks like he's falling asleep.
Yeah, I got to run because I'm going to get in major trouble here.
All right, we'll let you go. I got to go too.
All right. I bet Graphic Man was just wanting to come on too. But anyway, If someone wants to do their own stream later tonight, maybe I'll jump on, but I probably need to run.
Yeah, I got
Anyway, Graphic Man, you need to connect with Horror Mike.
Yeah, and
Mike,
yeah. So how should I do as far as like sending an email? Can I just put it in the chat right now in this private chat?
If you don't mind, yeah, you can do a private. Is there Yeah, I think you can do that. I don't know how this works.
Or you could do what I would have done if I were smarter and just let him put the link up Wednesday and use that to get on.
Yeah, you can go to
I
private.
seem to be the only person in the world that doesn't know how to do that.
Oh, I
from there.
see.
I don't
Well,
think
hey, guys,
Graphic Man likes to put it up in the chat because then you get all this vermin coming on.
I just sent
That's how I got here.
In the
Horror
thing.
Mike, yeah, it's in the private chat.
I put that in there. Hey, nice.
That's my phone. Who's sending me a message?
I gotta get that. I gotta get that.
Oh, it's
That's
correct.
great.
Don't
What I
forget to
want
take out
is
the garbage.
I
My
want the
wife, don't
Jetsons
forget to take out
doorbell.
the garbage.
What?
It's
Was
my
that?
wife. She sent me a text message. Don't forget to take out the garbage.
Was that Dark Shadows theme? Was that the Dark Shadows theme?
Almost. Not
Hey,
quite.
Groucho didn't used to have
I don't know what it
the
is.
thing from In Like
Spaceship,
Flint as a
alien
ringtone.
spaceship.
I think I still do, but I never hear my ring. It never rings anymore.
So that's, yeah, my friend Jerry has the same ringtone, and I
I love that for my phone, but I want for the doorbell for it to be the Jetsons doorbell. But I don't even know how to make the doorbell work. But anyway,
yeah. Well, the Addams Family doorbell is also quite nice.
Yeah.
You know, there's a few great ones.
Well, oh shit! Someone's trying to come on. Who is that? Oh, it's Graphic Man. Let's bring him on for a second.
Yeah.
Hey guys.
Hey, Graphic Man. Pleasure to meet you, sir.
Nice to see you. I realized, Groucho, you wanted to get off, and that's cool. I just wanted to say hi to Horror Mike. So, hello.
Hello. Hello there.
You need to pronounce it very. You got to get the
say too fast.
And horror.
Horror Mike. Horror Mike.
You don't want to say it too quickly.
If you guys are still into, I'm into staying on. If you guys are up for talking a little more.
And Mike, I put my Gmail in the chat. I don't know if you can see it.
I may need to run, and Captain Strangelife may need to run. But if you guys want to stay on, this will go on as long. It'll just show.
I only see Horror Mike in the private chat. His email.
Do you see it in there?
Yeah, well, I see yours. I don't see Graphic Man.
I put it in the main chat. So.
Oh, in the main chat.
Yeah. For the world to see. So.
I don't see it.
I don't. Yeah, I'm not seeing it.
I'm not seeing it either.
Graphic Man, do you want to keep going? I could leave
this in the private chat, Micah, and put it.
Okay,
there.
I'll put it in private. I guess YouTube is very particular. So, all right.
Oh, they must not let you do that.
Hey, look, I'm on StreamYard. I'm looking at the StreamYard private chat.
Oh yeah, you got to run over to YouTube to see it.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. All right, no problem.
Do you guys want to keep going? I can leave it going. It'll keep going until I run out of time for the month.
But I gotta go.
You gotta run. You gonna stay on, Mike, or run?
If anybody else wants to hang out,
Graphic Man, you want to hang out with Horror Mike?
All for a few minutes, no problem.
Okay. All right.
I think if you guys keep going as a stream, you'll have to come back and kill it. If you end the stream, it's just backstage. I don't think it matters.
Yeah, I think it'll just keep going for how many hours does a bum get on StreamYard?
There it is. Got it.
Okay, man. Yeah.
Got it, Graphic Man.
All right. Gratu, you probably ought to kill it here in about 2 minutes. So just in case, because it'll probably charge you, at some point. So.
Oh, I think it just ends. But yeah, okay. All right. Well, I can.
Anyway, I just wanted to say hi. Ken, I was busy watching your one you uploaded just a few minutes ago. I was enjoying it, and then I realized he's live. So anyway,
I was filming the latter part of the show is me filming the beginning of
the
StreamYard. It's very, what do the idiots call it? Meta.
Yeah.
Idiots. Total idiots. That's what Facebook is now called, Meta.
Well, hopefully I'll see all you guys on Wednesday then.
Yes, we got Ranger Sly coming up. So
Ranger Sly.
He's out on parole. It's just like
Oh, yeah.
Reader's Fly will be coming in mid-July. Like,
That's right.
Why so many months from now? Is where is?
I think it was his job.
Okay,
schedule.
guys, I gotta go, man. Really.
All
All right,
see ya.
Okay, all right, Captain.
Here, man. Good
See you
meeting
later.
you.
It was
Nice to see you, Mike.
great meeting you too.
All right.
Are we all going or?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Take care,
Good to
guys.
see you.
See you. Bye.
That's
Okay. All right, take care, guys. I'll talk to you soon. And I sent you an email, Graphic Man.
Oh,
Are we
fantastic.
still on?
Yeah, he forgot to kill it.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
I
Yeah,
think
he forgot to end the stream.
On the or are we still I don't know.
You know, it might keep going
No,
as
we're
long as
still-
we're here, so we probably should get off real quick. So
Okay.
I'll see you guys. So
Okay. All right, I'll talk to
Nice
you
to
guys
meet you.
and I'll have some comics lined up for Wednesday if you guys want me to come on there.
okay, if we're full up, hang around, and a spot will open up. So
Cool. That sounds good. That
okay,
sounds good. All right.
I'll see you,
Eric,
Mike. Eric, good to see
Graphic
you.
Man, it was a great pleasure meeting you guys.
All
All right.
right.
Well, I will see you guys Wednesday.
Okay.
Okay.
I forgot to end the broadcast. Would you please hit end broadcast, please? End broadcast.